Welcome to the Lakers post-game without Gerald. Also, we are merging the Nightcap tonight. And we had to do this because Stone needs to get his rest. And it's important that we get him onto the show, at least the Nightcap show. Gerald right now is playing taxi like Travis Bickle. For those of you who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, I know for sure Stone doesn't. Stone, that's Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver, a Scorsese movie with Robert De Niro back in the 70s. But anyways, we witnessed tonight a very, very, very entertaining game. At least I was entertained. And we came away with the win, Stone. And I'm going to have to say the Lakers win their fifth straight. And could we be seeing something here? Lakers, 136-124. Rui Hachimura with 32 points, 10 rebounds. LeBron James with another triple-double. His 111th triple-double of his illustrious career. And Lakers overall played just fantastic for most of the game. I know that we were kind of wondering what was going on there in the end of the third, but I don't mind doing some investigating, even if it is coming from Darvin Ham when you're up 23 points. What he was trying to do is he was trying to see if he could get these guys rested and maybe not play the fourth quarter, but the bench failed miserably. And then, of course, in the beginning of the fourth quarter, Darvin Ham came in, put in his starters, and, of course, the rest was history. So, again, the Lakers win 136-124, winning their fifth straight. We just talked about them hedging their bets, Stone, in not playing LeBron yesterday and winning. Then they didn't play AD tonight and won. So, in the end here, they made the right call.
Yeah, I last night was kind of hoping that they would rest AD tonight. Not because I don't want to see AD on the court, but because the healthier, the more rested AD is headed into a play-in situation, the better. And I didn't think we really needed him this game to have a chance at winning. Um, if it were last night, then obviously I'd be pushing for him to play more. But for tonight, I think that we're playing against a pretty bad and injured team, and I think that we had a situation where this was a time to be able to experiment with small ball center LeBron, small ball center Rui. Ham did a little bit of that, which I was pleased to see because I didn't think he would. So yeah, it was a pretty clean and easy game. He did what he needed to do on offense. Defense, I think, could have been cleaned up a bit throughout the game, but we came in and got it done and did what we needed to. So it was a good result.
So one of the things I noticed about the Lakers tonight, and I know it's hard to gauge really anything against the Memphis Grizzlies, which I kept calling them Brooklyn after we started talking about the Barclays and the court. I actually like the court. I like grays in general. Barkley has a dark black kind of ambiance. I was there back in 2015. Coincidentally, that was right before Kobe announced right before he had actually made it official that he was going to retire. So I was lucky in that I was able to get tickets when I was visiting New York at that time. I just happened to be visiting when the Lakers were playing Brooklyn and the Knicks. Ended up watching both games, and I enjoyed the Barclays Center, and then I liked the way the court looked tonight. But the Lakers, I think one thing I'm noticing here, Sloan, is they're handling business. They're making shots. I mean, I don't know I got to look back on the stats here real quick, but right before the last 5 minutes finished, they were shooting 59% from three, and that's getting it done. And that's essentially what you got to do when you play a team like this, and it allows you to make some mistakes, maybe have an issue with certain players that aren't kind of doing their thing. And they did that in the fourth quarter too, when they saw that the run was coming. They ended up stifling it. I think they hit a couple threes right out the gate, and it kind of gave Memphis like, oh, okay, I think we're about to finish here. I don't think we're going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, I am gonna have to disagree with you. I hate the court. I like to see old school hardwood flooring. I don't want to see this hospital floor type style. But in any case, I think that our shooting tonight, I think, was a result of good um, shot selection and efficient shot creation rather than hot shooting. I mean, D'Lo was the one guy I think that was, making his ridiculous shots. He made 3 or 4 of them from beyond the arc, um, that were just, nothing you could really do that was really hot shooting. But apart from that, I don't think it was really just hot shooting that got us there. I think it was picking our spots and getting ourselves good looks, and I thought we did that throughout the pretty much the entirety of the night. So I thought we did a good job of that against a team who's not really capable of being able to defend that well, as currently constructed. So, we did. They're not very good at it, but we also did what we had to do. So, I think it goes both ways, and I thought it was just a pretty clean, easy win for us tonight.
Again, it's 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 a it's an interesting time at this point, right? And we've been hard on the Lakers, and we talked about our focus is more on half. They call it the glass half empty theory, right? Which I always thought was a stupid thing. I never really enjoyed that comment. Like if the glass is half empty, that means you need to fill it back up. Again, I'm taking it literal, but the point is the Lakers made some bad decisions throughout the season, and their team wasn't playing correctly, whether it was mentality wise, whether the coaching wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, whether coaching decisions weren't done right, whether the motivation wasn't there. There's a lot of things that were going on there. And the reason why we were hard on them is if they don't make those crucial mistakes in December and win games against Chicago, against a bad Miami team at that time, and losing to San Antonio, right? We're sitting probably right now with this run in a fourth spot, which is what we said all year. Like if AD played well and wasn't injured, if LeBron played well, which he would, not injured, Rui does his thing, D'Lo does his thing, AR does, like we said that and it wasn't happening. So it didn't make any sense. But right now it's starting to make sense. Now we're seeing that run. They wouldn't have to work as hard though if they could have just taken care of those games and allow themselves to be a little fresh going into the playoffs with the possibility of being at least a home court team in that first round instead of battling for the freaking play-in. So again, I want to, John has just entered the chat. Welcome, John. I'm assuming you saw the entire game and, of course, enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yes,
What,
very
what
much.
what were your thoughts on the 48 minutes of Laker Memphis basketball, which was very entertaining, at least for me. I thought I saw some good basketball tonight.
I saw some good basketball. So I mean, especially on the Lakers side of things, you love those games where you don't feel like, damn, like are we going to lose this game, or is this game losing out of our grips? Like I felt like throughout the whole game we really had control. To be honest with you, anytime that Memphis did put a run back on us, like I know in that third quarter they went on, like I believe, like a 12-0 run. That was like the only time that I was like, dang, are we gonna choke this? Are we gonna choke this up now? But we had a response to really everything that they had. They could throw at us tonight. So, I mean, as a Lakers fan, you love to see it. I'll tell you what. I was a lot less stressed out this game than I was in yesterday's game, because yesterday's game I was sweating. It was one of those days where you're having back sweat. But today was more one of those chill California type games, and just enjoying the fact that we got a win. No Anthony Davis tonight. I mean, the man did play 51 minutes yesterday, so hey, man, I don't blame you. 7 players or more scored 14 points. 7 players, or scored 14 points or more. We were sharing the candy, baby. We were sharing that rock. And when you share the rock, great things happen because great players can take over. But at the end of the day, James Naismith created this game to be played with 5 players on the court. And today we did that very well.
I agree. Absolutely agree. The Lakers starting 5 right now are playing as well as they have all year, each and every game. There's double-digit scoring. There's several 20-point scores from the starting lineup. I'm Stone. You're probably surprised, like I am, with Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't know if you've noticed the last few games. He's been ever since he kind of came out with that Brooklyn starting him issue that he had before he got traded or before he was let go, and the Lakers picked him up. He seems to have had a little bit more angst in his play and is making his shots. My God, if Spencer Dinwiddie does what he did tonight, and even last night, even though he didn't score very much, he at least held his own on defense and is that veteran presence and has or had pretty good darn talent in the NBA. That's going to go a long way in giving the Lakers, should they get into the playoffs, that added player that can come in and spell people. Now, Jackson Hayes, as much as he's trying, and he had a pretty good game. I think he had 5 dunks or maybe 6. The problem is, which has really been the problem with the Lakers in a lot of areas, is no matter how good they do on one side, they end up screwing it up worse on the other side. So it's just kind of that balance, although they haven't been doing that lately. But that's been the issue, is we're sitting there, we're watching LeBron drop 33, 11, and 10. Yet if you watch the games like Stone and I and John do, you'll notice on the other side of the court, they're allowing just as much. So therefore, that ends up evening out, or maybe even worse. So LeBron has a fantastic drive to the basket, gets 2 points, but yet he doesn't stick to his guy on the next play, sags off to double somebody that shouldn't be doubled. The guy hits a 3. In that sequence, that's a -1, no matter how beautiful that move was to the basket previously. So we're noticing, I'm not noticing that they're making those kind of mistakes. In a 2024 NBA game, these things are what come up. These are the things that you think about. A missed offensive rebound, a missed defensive rebound. And if that turns into a 3 when it could have been a 0, those are the things that change the momentum of games and takes a lead from 3 to 6. And a lot of times that 6-point lead can lead to a 12-point lead very quickly because of the momentum. I'd say the one thing that's changed in the NBA more than anything is the difference between the time from a 4-point lead to a 12-point lead. Like, it can be a 12-point lead in a matter of a minute.
And it could evaporate in a matter of a minute too.
True, but I've noticed also that it hasn't been as bad this last year or so. Those who have had 20-point leads are not as bad as they were back in 2021, 2020, with relinquishing these 20-point leads. I remember distinctively there were so many 20-point leads that ended up being erased with a loss on top of it. So I'm starting to think that the Lakers are smelling the end here. And if Phoenix loses to Denver, they are going to be 1 game behind Phoenix, and they own the tiebreaker. So the Lakers right now just did themselves a gigantic favor in more than one way. One is they won. They won the last 2 games. The other is they rested both their guys in wins. And, of course, the role players looked like they knew exactly what they were doing. So it's been the optics the execution, the functionality, it all is working. We don't know what the results are going to be in the end here. We have 9 more games to go. But, Stone, I'm going to ask you this. Is there a chance the Lakers could run the table?
For the rest of the season?
No, for the regular season.
Yeah. Go 10-0 the rest of the way? No.
So I don't know if you remember, we discussed at the All-Star break what the Lakers needed to get, let's say, the 6th or the 5th, right? They need to win 50 games. And they've won 5 in a row. They hadn't won 5 in a row all year. Actually, they hadn't won 4 in a row up until yesterday. So is there a chance that they run the table? Now, the reason why I'm asking this is because we just saw Houston up until today win 9 in a row.
No, they just won, actually.
Oh, did they win? Oh, wow.
It went to overtime and they won.
Okay, I didn't know. I thought they had lost. I'm sorry. I've been on the show all day here. I didn't get a chance to look at the scoreboard. So now they've won 10 in a row. So I would like to think if Houston is good enough to win 10 in a row this late in the season, I'd like to think the Lakers can, especially with so much at stake. Because the Lakers, let's say they finish 8-2. I mean, 6-2. Oh my God, 7-2. There's 9 games left, right? Yeah. 7-2. That puts them at 48 wins. Do they get a 6 seed with that?
Let me see. I just saw today this handy dandy picture of all the teams, like 4 through 10, their schedules lined up next to each other. So I can kind of look and gauge there. The Mavericks have a bit of an onslaught for the rest of it going forward, and so do the Kings. And really, so do the Suns especially, actually. So I think there's a decent chance we can get to 8, which is not something I thought would really be all that possible. But I think now it's looking like, maybe a 50-50 chance we actually get that. And we can make up that ground to get to 8, which would be huge too, to only have to play 1 play-in rather than 2. Our chances of going 10-0, I think, is pretty slim, Joe. I think we'd like to think. I mean, that would ultimately be 15-0. We'd like that to happen, but I don't know how realistic. Even though these teams that we're facing moving forward, most of them are not going to be, juggernauts of any sort. They are, the scheduling wise, they're kind of close together. They're packed in. How much does that play into effect? You're doing it at the end of the year, and we are an older team than the Rockets are. Fatigue maybe plays into it. We have worse athletes than the Rockets, so guys like Reeves and D'Lo are going to get more fatigued than somebody like, whoever on the Rockets. I mean, the worse athlete you are, the more recovery time generally you need. So yeah, I think 6-3 is my prediction. If you didn't ask that, but I'm going to give it to you anyways. As sort of my prediction for how we finish off. 7-2 is plausible. Anything beyond that, I think, is sort of reaching for the stars. But I think 6-3 is probably the most realistic, and 7-2 is within reach.
So, Johnny, what's your prediction?
I'm right there with Stone. I'm at 6-3, to be honest. I mean, I feel like we haven't shown no level of consistency throughout the season, but to your point, Joe, we are starting to look like, we're a bit of a different team, and you bit like we're turning the page. So, and that can make me feel a little bit more optimistic. But yeah, I think 6-3 is a good way to go about it. And I mean, the 6th seed, I'm pretty sure, is going to end up getting locked in for the Mavs. The 7th seed, we don't even got the tiebreaker with the Kings, so they're going to be locked in for that. But I'm pretty sure we have the tiebreaker against the Suns. So that's a realistic. It's a realistic thing, because I feel like so much of NBA community has just slotted the Lakers in that 9th seed and been like, all right, well, it's going to be Lakers versus Warriors in that 9-10 playing game. But man, if we can get to that 8th seed, and then play the Kings and then having two playing games for us to be able to figure out our season. But more than anything, but I'm not even looking at the Kings, to be honest. I'm a true Laker at heart, so I'm looking at playoffs. And well, all I see is if we get the 8th seed, that means we play the 7th seed, which is the Kings, for either another play-in game or for that 7th seed. Whew, if we get that 7th seed and we face Oklahoma in the first round, best believe we're moving on to the second round, baby.
Oh, so you're saying that they're gonna win that series should they get in?
Yes, I think Lakers beats Oklahoma in that series if that's how it if we end up getting them.
Stone? What's your
I
assessment
would
on
like
that?
I would like to believe that.
7-game series. No, Stone, 7-game series, not a one-off game. 7-game series when the game is played much differently and their biggest weakness is our biggest strong suit.
Their biggest weakness is our biggest weakness, I think, which is rebounding. I feel like
Guarding bigs. I mean,
I ideally a catless Minnesota looks really appealing to me. That's who I think. Without Cat, I think that's who I'm really have my eyes set on if we were to get into the play-in or playoffs. Excuse me. OKC, I've laid it out before, and I think I did it with
Yeah.
John before. I'll do it again just for the people that maybe didn't catch that episode or more nightly listeners. But the reason OKC to me is unsettling to have to face is one is that they're younger, first of all, which does make a difference in a 7-game series when your team is playing all out to get in just into the play in, and then you have to face the playoffs. They're better athletes, so they're gonna have faster recovery time. The other thing is just in terms of on-court play, you're gonna have 48 minutes of really strong guard defense on the perimeter with SGA, Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace. You're going to have really strong guard defense against somebody like Reeves and Dinwiddie, who are not very good ball handlers. They're going to get a lot of turnovers against us, is what I'm trying to convey here. The other thing is we are going to have to figure out, we're going to have to get creative because of that. They're not going to have a real matchup against LeBron. They're going to have to double on him or just let LeBron go wild. It's somewhat the same thing with AD if you get the right positioning, but you are going to have to get creative to figure out a way of how do you initiate without those guards. And that means you have to trust Ham to do that. And I don't necessarily trust Ham to do that. You do bring up a good point with, defending bigs. One-on-one, Chet's going to get eaten alive by AD. It's just not really a competition. Chet is a fantastic rim protector, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's a great one-on-one defender at this point in his career against somebody like AD. I think AD and LeBron would really have to show up throughout this game, and you're betting on them not getting injured, doing that game in and game out at the age that they're at, and betting on a really smart OKC coach. He's going to counter that in some way or another, and you have to bet on Ham to figure out how to counter those counters. So because of those things, I am somewhat scared of OKC, and I would much rather have Minnesota, who does not have Cat, because that means we could really focus in on defending and funneling our defense to the paint, which is what we excel at. That's what our defense is based upon. So for me, I'd rather face Minnesota, but you don't really have your choice when you're at the seed that the Lakers are at right now. You don't get to pick and choose who you're facing. You basically have to go all out to try and do what you can to make sure you're at least a top 8 seed, so that you only have to play one play and hopefully, ideally, a top 6 seed. But that seems a bit out of reach at this point to me.
And to rebuttal to that real quick, Joe. I mean, I just feel like, and a lot of what you said, even is correct or whatnot. But at least in my eyes, like the way I see it is, you mentioned as far as like Oklahoma City Thunder and their defense that we'd have a hard time on. I mean, the number one Did you not? Did you not mention what happened?
No, you're correct. Sorry, I was reading a comment. It just threw
Okay.
me off.
Someone said, "Can you fart with Joe?" Whoa! All right, that came out of nowhere. But no,
No, but
okay.
it wasn't you. My bad.
You're
No.
done. You're done tonight, Phantasm jerk off. You'll be done tonight. So enjoy your stay.
But like I was saying, Stone,
Stupid
you
idiot.
you were talking about Oklahoma City Thunder's elite defense. Minnesota Timberwolves literally have the number one defense in the NBA. So I feel like both ways, whether it be Minnesota or Oklahoma, we're going to be facing an elite defensive team. The only reason why, and I highlighted this on that live that we did, that I would really rather face Oklahoma City Thunder over Minnesota Timberwolves, even without Cat, is because when Cat's there, they're operating at a prime level. But even when Cat's not there, Naz Reid is probably, in my opinion, literally the best big off the bench. I mean, it could be either between him or Bobby Portis, and I feel like he can come in and give them just a whole different style that we still, I feel like, would struggle against. But more than anything, when Anthony Davis, I don't worry about Anthony Davis with none of those guys. I don't worry about him with Chet. I don't worry about him with Naz Reid. I don't worry about him with Rudy Gobert. I don't even worry about him with Karl-Anthony Towns. But what I do worry about is with the Minnesota Timberwolves, what they can do is they can have Rudy Gobert as a secondary, like roaming defender, to where it'll be Naz Reid playing AD primary, like one-on-one, taking those bumps to the chest. But as soon as AD, gets some space and goes for that little post hook, here comes Rudy Gobert, which, as we know, he's very elite, shot cleaner up around the rim. He gonna come and beat that up as that secondary defender. But I feel like if we had an Oklahoma City Thunder, AD puts a couple of shoulders in Chet's chest, he can't really do nothing about it. He's gonna move, he's gonna back up, and I don't think they have that same secondary line of defense to be able to slow us down. But I mean, hey man,
I agree.
both ways
agree.
it'll be tough. And last
Yeah.
point, real quick,
Mhm.
I think experience matters in the playoffs, and they have literally little to no. Shea is the only one that has some type of playoff experience, and he doesn't have playoff experience as being the guy. So
This guy in the comments is getting me. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you.
no, you are all
this
good.
guy,
Let me see what this guy's
guy's
saying.
picking me off. But in terms of I gotta get my mind back here. In terms of the Thunder, yeah, I think the issue is, or the Wolves. I don't disagree with you, but the thing I would counter with is we don't necessarily run our offense through AD. So if we're able to counter what they're doing against AD defensively with our guard play, which I think we could, I think we really have a chance, and I think LeBron matches up well with Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels is a great defender, but against LeBron, it's a different story for him. He's too thin for him. So I think we just match up better, and I just trust our physicality and our shooting more against a team like that. But like as you're saying, which I agree with as well, it's going to be tough either way because you're doing that after facing. You're playing hard these final 10 games you're really playing hard. Hopefully more games are like tonight where you don't have to play that hard, but you are going to, for some of these, have to put the pedal to the metal and really go for it. And then you're going to have to play a play-in, maybe two, hopefully only one, but maybe two. And then that's just the beginning of the road to get there. So I'm concerned, either way, especially we saw last year too. LeBron was feeling the fatigue at age 38. He's age 39 now. This is each year it's going to get harder and harder for him every single year to keep turning it up every single time that he gets to the playoffs. So I don't like being in a position where you have to rely on that, but it is the reality of the situation, and we do have to rely on that. But it's going to be just harder and harder for him to get to that level consistently at the age that he's at.
Wow, good talk there, guys. Very good information. Again, the Lakers win tonight, 136-124. The guys we've been begging to do what we've been begging them to do, seem to be doing it every game. Even Austin Reeves, who looked fatigued tonight, still dropped a double-double tonight. Didn't shoot particularly well, and neither did D'Angelo Russell. But Rui Hachimura picked up the slack. He made was 11 of 14 from the field, played 36 minutes, was hitting just dagger threes. He hit 7 threes tonight, and D'Lo hit 5 threes. Lakers shooting was phenomenal tonight. They shot almost 55% from three and almost shot 55% from the field. So if you're wanting to win in this particular situation, that's how you do it. Their offense has become, would you say, elite the last 3 weeks?
I don't know about elite.
I mean, dropping 130 points a game?
I would say that
you got to take that in context, though. I mean, like that Pacers game, Joe, there was literally no defense on that game.
Okay. Here, I'll run something by you. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say February. Okay, February 1. They started. Let's see here. What game was it? I think it was the New Orleans game. So they went 139 in New Orleans on the 9th of February. Since then, they've been scoring 139, 125, 138, 128, 123, 123. They scored 116 against LA, and then they were 134, 121. Actually, they lost that one, 114. 116 against Oklahoma City, 120 in a loss against Sacramento, 123 against Milwaukee, 120 against Minnesota. They went down to 107 against Sacramento, 121 in a loss against Golden State. Then after that, it was 136. Philly was an outlier with a 101, and then it was 150, 128, 136. They're practically scoring 120 pretty much every game here for the last month and 2 weeks.
Here's how I'd frame it. I think the execution is elite, but offense isn't just based upon that, because you have to. Execution is elite based on the premise of a overly simplistic structural offense. Where would they be this elite if they were running plays and doing? Yeah, probably. But the fact that they're not is making it tough to buy for playoff reasons, because can they execute at this level without any sort of structure in their offense is the question. And once this gets taken away, once the fact that, coaches, other opposing coaches can be like, recognize patterns and understand, LeBron's going to back down guys that are weaker than him, or AD is going to go off the short roll against these sort of players, things like that. And then it becomes a lot harder, because you don't know how these players are going to be able to react when a counter occurs over the course of a 7-game series, and no set offensive structure to be able to counter with. So they're executing great basketball at an honestly like pickup level, because that's sort of the level of offensive structure that we have, not to the fault of the players necessarily. They're doing the best with what they can, but when you don't have that freedom to do that anymore, and then it becomes a question of, can they figure out a way to get around that? And to that, I don't have an answer for you.
I like that.
John, go ahead. Do you have a retort?
No, well, what I was going to say was, so I'm looking at this website. I don't know if you guys ever heard about it, but it's called Cleaning the Glass. But it's got like just a freaking memoir of just stats and analytics. And I'm trying to find something that's going to point to us having some elite offense in these past couple of games. So I will get back to you on that. But what I do want to say is I feel like what Stone said is very on point. We've been executing, but I feel like executing to us is just knocking down shots, because it's not like we run a whole bunch of elaborate plays like how the Warriors always ran those elevator screens or those split actions that they ran. Like those are things that coaches puts that in the offense, and then players go ahead and run that. I mean, for us, you would be looking through a lot of film to try to find a split action that we've ran this year. To be honest with you, it's a nine times out of 10. It's just whoever has a mismatch that time down court, go ahead and try to score. To be honest with you, or it's just a pick and roll. So it's hard to say that our offense has been elite, because I feel like our offense is, like how Stone said, just so pick up heavy. It's like, all right, who's gonna go get a bucket, and then in the games when the shots aren't going in, because as we know, it could get like that at times. It could get real bad, because I mean, golly, our offense was so bad in the beginning of that Bucks game yesterday. That was like a definition of a stagnant offense. But to my point, I feel like when we're in a slump like that, it's super unfortunate, because it's not like we have a whole bunch of plays in our back pocket to where like we can get an easy bucket going, and now we're all right, cool, let's get an offense get set going. Even though we were struggling like that, they were coming down court doing the exact same thing, which is try to get open, dribble, pull. And so to that, I would say, I don't know if our offense has been necessarily elite, but I know we just been shots been going in as of late.
So you're saying that they're all just playing street ball and they just happen to be working?
Honestly, that's what it looks like a lot of the times, to be honest with you. Like, to be
I
real,
think they're
organized street ball.
You're telling me the pick and roll dunks with Jackson Hayes. Imagine this. Imagine if Jackson Hayes was who's an athletic big right now that's not a star? Would you say
Gafford?
Gafford. Oh man, that becomes a worse acquisition that the Lakers should have gotten at the deadline. Imagine now if Gafford's the guy that's receiving those alley-oops, because Gafford can play better defense than was more fundamentally sound than Jackson Hayes. The fact that they're using Jackson Hayes very, very well should prove that they're actually becoming coherent on schemes.
Now,
their spacing is better. They're making shots. Obviously, it makes it easier to open space up when you're making shots. But then again, that's the point, right?
Now,
go
ahead.
No, I was going to say, just real quick, to Joe's point. Yes, I agree that we are getting Hayes some easy buckets, but when I say that we don't have no intricate offense, what I mean is, like, we are not running these elevator screens, these split actions. Like, to me, a pick and roll is the most basic of basics play. Like, if somebody runs a pick and roll, I give no credit that to the coach. I credit that to the NBA being a copycat league, and pick and rolls work, and it's all about exploiting mismatches. And I just think that it's a great, like, duo, because Hayes is just a big guy who can catch lobs at the rim, and D'Angelo Russell is an amazing playmaker and is an amazing dimer. So he's able to get put it to wherever only Hayes could get it. So yes, I agree, we're getting some easy offense in Hayes and players like that, but I don't think to me that's like something Darvin Ham instilled. I think that's just a regular pick and roll, and defense is not guarding it very well. And then Hayes gets a free lob at the rim.
I wouldn't say that's the case, because it's happening all the time now.
I think to me, what's happening is we are, as a team, maybe it's the coaching and the players combined, we're identifying mismatches at a higher rate. We're seeing that we can attack this guy now more and more. Like tonight with these pick and rolls, we're able to do it because, we're seeing that Triple J now has to try and switch onto the ball handler, because they don't. Scottie Pippen Jr. isn't going to be able to defend the guy guarding the ball because he's too small, and so Triple J's trying to do it, but then it allows Jackson to slip more. These are picking on mismatches, which is important, but I also think that we do a lot of two-man games on offense. We do a lot of these two pick and roll, or whether it's one guy driving and a second guy going baseline cutting. It's a lot of two-man game happening with us. And to really be fully efficient, I feel like 4 or 5 of those guys need to be involved in a play, whether it's moving, cutting, doing something more than watching it unfold within 2 guys. Because now we have a stagnant offense that allows defenders to come in, be more effective as help defenders or secondary guys. And when you are letting that happen over and over again, I can't help but think that it's an issue of fundamental lack of knowledge of knowing how to implement offensive schemes rather than, oh, my head's big now, rather than being able to, you know, just exploit mismatches over and over. Like that only works so long until teams pick up on that, especially in the playoffs. If you're doing this against OKC, Mark Daigneault's probably one of the smarter coaches in the league. He's going to be able to put an end to that pretty quickly if you don't have an offense that is going to be able to execute with multiple players involved rather than just a two-man game over and over again.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant analyzations, guys. Beautiful. I'm starting to feel why stars are stars right now. That's the difference. You're seeing guys like LeBron and AD doing things, and then you're also seeing very good players starting to come in their own. Their confidence is up. Their ability to make shots when they need to make shots are there. Stone, you did make a good point that when you're not as athletic, you get tired quicker, which Austin looked dead today. He really did. What would you say, and in saying that, what does Austin have to do to not get fatigued, especially someone who's, 24 years old? Is it really just about athleticism, or maybe does he need to change up his diet or do some more cardio? Like, what exactly could he do to allow himself to be more vibrant in situations like tonight after a double OT game back to back, going from Milwaukee to Memphis? Again, Memphis is a long truck on a back to back, and we got to go back to Memphis at the end of the year. And part of the issue, you weren't on the show when we discussed this, part of the issue with the Lakers playing Oklahoma City, let's say, or Minnesota, is that these teams, or even Denver, right? Denver's always a problem because of the altitude, besides the fact that they're the champs. But it's hard to play in Denver. Hell, I saw Kobe hyperventilating in the worst game I ever watched physically. As much as all those final games and all those unbelievable games we saw in our life during the first part of the century, I honestly did not feel as terrible physically in any game. Not game 7 of the 2010, not game 3 in Philly, not game 7 with Portland. Game 3 in 2009 against the Nuggets, when Kobe went God mode, as George Karl said back then, went to God mode and won that game after they had just lost to Denver at home in game 2. He saved them after, the shot he hit, the 3 he hit after J.R. Smith allowed Denver to take the lead with a minute left. After that game, I remember the interview was, he was just like this. He couldn't breathe. This is supposed to be the most conditioned man on the planet. So Oklahoma City is technically an East team in a lot of ways geographically. Definitely Memphis. Matter of fact, Memphis is, I would guarantee you, Memphis is going to be the team that shifts to the East once expansion Seattle and expansion Vegas comes. So you got to play Oklahoma City, likely, let's say if we're lucky, versus Denver. Then if you beat Oklahoma City, and I'm guessing that they would be a 2 seed. Minnesota's likely going to be the 3rd seed. If they win their series, you got to travel to Minnesota. So not only is it a problem not having home court, not having enough depth, all this stuff, you got to travel back and forth. It's the whole 4 series, because you're likely going to play Denver. The altitude is going to be a problem there. And then, of course, if the Celtics run the table in the East, you got to go from the ass end of the Northeast to the ass end of the Southwest. So it's like, we said this on the last show, Stone. If the Lakers won the title in this manner, what do you say about LeBron at that point? What can you say, right? Now, again, this is all just fantasy stuff. I think it's good discussion stuff. But it would be, I believe, a harder path than any path you could have had, even more so than the 3-1 deficit that they had in 16 when he was in Cleveland.
Or the bubble path.
No,
The
yeah.
bubble- Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Stu. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to just say that if LeBron won this, he'd have 2 of the most maybe of all time. I don't know, maybe of all time finals ever. To have to get the way he got there, it'd be pretty impressive. Just to get back to Reeves real quick in terms of what he can do to mitigate his, fatigue and such. Speaking as an unathletic white guy, I think that it's I'm not super unathletic, but I'm not an NBA player. But he's there's only so much you can do, because obviously genes do play a part in it. That's something he can't control. But I don't know what his diet consists of. I don't know what his workout consists of. Those are things, maybe he can get better at. Maybe he's doing all he can already. I don't really know. But just looking at his shot profile, 57% of Austin Reeves' jumpers are coming off of the dribble, meaning 43% are catch and shoot. That number to me should be going up. If he's that unathletic, and we see Austin Reeves, how he handles. It does not come easy for him. A lot of those dribble jumpers that he's having, which again is 57% of it, his jumper profile, he's working. That means he's having to work hard for a lot of those shots. He's having to work hard to get that shot off, and hopefully to make it. So if the Lakers can find a way, he doesn't need to dribble as much as he does. I think there's a lot of times where he over dribbles and he could be passing it off, not as exerting as much energy in that regard. And the other flip side of that is the coaching, I think, could do a better job of getting him in more catch and shoot opportunities where he doesn't have to exert 57% of the time that he does, having to get a jumper himself rather than have it made by D'Lo or by somebody like LeBron. And part of that is that he moves more off the ball, which could point to him and the coaching staff, where he sees LeBron dribbling or D'Lo dribbling instead of just standing there waiting to get the ball. If he just does a quick cut, that's exerting a lot less energy rather than dribbling the ball for 10 seconds. So I think there's things within the game that they can do to help mitigate and preserve him as far as fatigue goes for future games.
So for me, honestly, I always think back to sometimes, like, I like to keep it simple. The fact that, like, these are very elite basketball players, but at the end of the day, like, they're playing basketball. They're doing no different than what kids do at the park, but just at a very elite level at the end of the game. It's a game of basketball. Now, with that being said, it's a lot more tiring to guard someone who is, let's say, maybe 6'6", 6'7", 220 versus someone who's 5'8", 5'9", maybe $180 or whatnot. So it's a lot more tiring. So with that, I want to with that, I want to, give credit to Austin Reeves and say, like, I'm not saying, like, get in better shape or whatnot, because I'm sure he's in really good shape. But what I will say is this: when I played in junior college, when I got on a vegan diet, okay, I was on a vegan diet from the summer from the beginning of my freshman year to the end of my sophomore year, which is my second year at JUCO. I was on this vegan diet because the assistant coach told me I was going to get in really good shape. Trust me, guys, I am the number one food lover. Number one food lover. Okay. I will go to McDonald's not McDonald's, In-N-Out, just because I have a really fast metabolism, and eat like 3 double doubles and a milkshake, poop it out, and be good to go. Right. Because that's just where I'm at. And I love that kind of food. But I'm not going to lie, guys. When I went through that, and it was rigorous, when I went through that, I was in the best shape of my life. Like, I could just run and just go and go and go and go forever, never, never. Now, again, the reason why I started off this little spiel by saying it is much more tiring to go and guard someone who's 6'6", 230, than versus I was not guarding someone that was 6'6", 230. I was guarding junior college basketball players. So I want to give Austin Reeves his credit and say this may be a lot harder than I'm making it seem, but I don't know the man's diet, but diet plays a very, very big part into this. So, honestly, maybe he's got to check that out, Joe, to be honest with you.
Vegan diet from a kid from Oklahoma. Or is he from Arkansas? Or is he from Arkansas? Wasn't he born in Arkansas?
I have no idea. But that's a good point.
Yeah, born in Arkansas, played in Oklahoma. Diets do play a huge part, like John is saying, but without everybody's body reacts differently to different foods, which is the difficult part. So that's why diets never work across the board. For John, it's great that vegan worked for him. For some people, this carnivore thing works best for them, or they're like on an all red meat diet. Like, everyone has different things that affects their body differently. They just have different genetics that metabolize it differently and all that. I've done a lot of sort of research into vegan diets because mostly because the Michael Porter Jr. and his brothers and his siblings have a history. They were on a vegan diet and they have a history of injury. And I was like, I wonder what the correlation is with this. Sometimes vegans with certain people can affect their bone density and things like that. Wow. Not saying that's the case for everybody, but that's just what I found within research from what I was doing. So again, every diet affects people differently. And I don't care all that much about diets in terms of like my own personal life, but I was more interested just in the research in terms of how it affects basketball players. And that's what I came away with. But yeah, so for Austin, I don't know his diet. Maybe he can improve upon it. And maybe it does make a big difference if you're doing what's best for your body and what you're putting in your body.
Stone, this is why you're the best. Stone, you heard what he said, Joe? He said he's so in the game, Joe, that Stone is doing. He was like, you know what? Michael Porter Jr. and his brother's always getting hurt. I know they're on this vegan diet. You know what? Let me look into this. Stone, you're one of a kind, man. You are one of a kind, brother.
Well, the diet thing is always interesting because I think there's a lot of, in terms of stamina, I think there's a little bit of hereditary traits there that help some enhanced. They're more enhanced in that area. The naturally, of course. The other thing it could be is that Austin plays a position that typically he's going to guard more elite athletes. He's not playing center where he's sitting back most of the time. He's going to have to move around a lot. And of course, he is dribbling a lot. And I do agree, Stone, that he does dribble too much. That takes up a lot of energy. And maybe that's something that Darvin Ham needs to recognize and get himself to understand that needs to go if you start getting to the point where you're not able to do certain things. So yes, ball handling will take a lot of energy out, especially the way he does it. He's juggling the ball with the guy in front of him. That takes immense concentration. mental fatigue in a lot of ways as well. So that would be a couple things I would do with Austin. I think the coach needs to recognize that, and I think the training staff needs to understand that as well. Gary Vitti, which in my opinion is the greatest, most famous trainer of all time in any sport. Gary used to do things. I remember this like yesterday. Gary I've never met him. I wish I could, but I have one of the greatest human beings you'll ever meet in your life. Principled to the till. And Gary would say things to Kobe and piss him off so much. And the reason why Kobe would be so pissed is because he knew he was right. And Kobe tears his Achilles and he asks Gary, can I wrap this up and finish the game? Now, this is an easy one, obviously, but he's like, no, dude, you're done. But when instances watching as many Laker games as I've seen, Kobe would go irate, not to Gary, but you know how when someone says something you don't like, you're like, God, you saw a lot of that with Gary and Kobe, and it's not a coincidence that Gary retired the year Kobe retired. He loved that man, and Kobe loved him. And these are the little things, folks. These are the little things. I remember the head coach of Kansas State, Coach Snyder. Kansas State would fly, right? And he would make sure they weren't on the side where the sun was. He'd make sure he switched them away from the sun because the sun zaps your energy. Details like that sometimes can make a difference. And not dribbling in traffic, keeping the ball moving, in terms of keeping your opponent on their toes and not really knowing what to do. Just like how the Lakers have looked 3/4 of the way in, right? How many times have we watched them look like they don't know how to play defense? Lately, they've kind of solved that problem. I don't know if it's because they have to. I don't know if it's because they figured it out late. Regardless of what it is, I'm glad they're figuring it out or that they're just starting to do it. Yes, he was, Sean. Yes, he was. I read a lot about if Coach Snyder had played at an elite SEC team, I have no doubt he would have won a national title. But the Lakers, being that they're playing their best basketball at this point, you could say the in-season tournament was that window too. I think this is obviously more important. They're playing their best basketball right now. They're making a run. Let's try to see if we can fix those little tweaks a little more and see what this can bring. Let's see if they have a shot. So that's where I stand on that. Again, if anybody's coming in late, hadn't seen the game, the Lakers won 136-124. It was pretty much wire to wire. The Memphis Grizzlies did make a little scary run there at the end of the third, but they were still down by 10 going into the fourth. And of course, as soon as Darvin Ham brought in his starters, the lead went right back up to where it belongs, which is Lakers up 16-18 or whatever it ended up being here. Gerald, you are here. Or should I say Joe Soro? Welcome to myself. Hold on. Let me correct it.
Joe squared.
That's
Joe squared. I like that.
Now that's his real name there. There you go.
That's Gerald Glassford to me.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay, so here, we'll put you in the captain's seat so you feel better about yourself.
I don't care. I'm trying to figure out how I can ban that guy on Twitch.
Yeah, ban the guy on Twitch. I think I know who it is. He was
harmless last night when he was saying that stuff, and you guys.
No, I think I know who it is. It might be one of my contacts. I just texted him and I told him, I said, the next time I see you, I am going to slap the ever living bejesus out of your face.
Okay.
It won't be a headshot. It won't be an arm shot. It's going to be straight up, like, you know how when the jaw meets the neck, like that slap right here.
That's harsh.
Yeah.
I wasn't offended. I was just so distracting. It was like it threw me for a loop.
Well, just think about this, because I actually did the same thing yesterday, Stone. So you think about it, in your obituary, the best thing anyone will say about you is that you talk smack on other people by talking about sitting on someone and defecating on them. That'll be your life's history.
Yeah, it's just so off the wall. But yeah, I mean, I guess
unless you're in Vince McMahon for WWE, we wouldn't go there.
Or Amber Heard,
or P. Diddy.
What is it? Well, yeah, what is it with this disgusting act lately?
This is insane.
What are these people? Animals?
It's poop. It is poop.
It's Hollywood. It just seems like that's what. It seems like it's all everyone there. It seems gross.
Selling their souls.
Oh yeah, seriously.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But what's not crazy though is this Lakers win. That's not crazy.
Not crazy
Gerald,
at all.
Cheers.
You're still drinking chocolate milk?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I promise.
Oh, yeah. Who's gonna pay Joe for a quick shot?
Yeah. Well, you said you were gonna have wine tonight. Was why
$100 for 100 shots.
Oh my God, he's gonna kill himself. I don't want to see suicide.
He's done $100 for less, John. He's done $100 for less.
100 shots.
It'll take a stake in the heart to get me, man. You gotta bury me to get rid of me.
So when we go to
there's no alcohol that'll take me out.
100 shots.
100 shots of beer. I've done 100. I've done 101.
Pure alcohol.
I've done 101 shots of beer.
I'd do that. That just sounds like a fun Friday.
It was one of the greatest drinking nights I ever had. It was a competition between two of my other friends. I think I've told the story, but I don't know if Stone heard it. But one of our buddies threw up, I think, at 29. We absolutely shredded him. That was actually the hilarious part about the whole situation. It wasn't the best part, but the funniest part. Usually he's a mouther. You talk smack, he'll mouth back. He had no room this time. 29 shots. What is that? 2.5 beers? 8 ounces of can, right?
Yeah, but I mean, shots.
So he had 3 beers and some change, right?
Yeah.
3 beers and some change. I mean, I could take 3 beers right now, drinking, and I can tap dance, right? But he threw up. I'm like, how do you throw up with 3 beers? It's like a shot. So we lambasted while we're drinking, by the way, because you have to drink every minute. It's every 60 seconds. So we're lambasting him while we're drinking. I mean, we're tore into him. And then finally, we get to like 70 shots. And my God, I thought earth was coming out of my stomach. I'm like, damn it. Right? My buddy, you could tell he was feeling it too. Then all of a sudden, for some weird reason, we get to 80 and we get like a second win. It's like a second stomach came in or something. So we get to 80 and we start shooting 81, 82, 88, and I'm like, damn, all right. Well, looks like I'm doing all right. Then we get to like 98. And the deal was to get to 100. But the problem was we thought someone was going to not make it.
Yeah.
Right? So he ended up, and by the way, he was like 50 pounds less than me. So kudos to him.
Yeah.
We get to 100. I think that's 8.5 beers or whatever it was. And I look at him. He looks at me. We both, honest to God, if somebody had just put their finger on our stomach with a freaking, it would have been a, what is it? The trajectory?
Trajectory.
Yeah.
Trajectory. Yeah.
So I look at him. I say, Jim, let's take one more shot, make it 101, and call it a truce. He goes, yeah. God, shook hands. And by just sheer luck, just like a few hours earlier, I had, for some weird reason, I still don't remember. Projectile, that's it. Jesus. Thanks, John. I appreciate you correcting my English. So much for my San Diego State education. For some weird reason, I still don't remember why. I had like a quarter of a chocolate cake at doing something. And man, did that thing save me. So I ended up yakking that in a plastic supermarket bag. There's a whole story on that too. And then as soon as I yacked, I was like, wow, I feel great. Got up, almost sobered up right after that.
The irony in this whole story is that it comes right after talking about like vegan diets and all that.
Yes. There is a point to the story, which is, again, John had explained, Gerald, that he went on a vegan diet, and it started the conversation on why Austin Reeves got tired tonight. Could have been the fact that he probably wasted too much time dribbling around. Obviously, the double OT game yesterday, but at the same time, he is 24 years old. Maybe he needs to start figuring out how to replenish his body and at an optimum level. Kobe Bryant said in 2006, this is 10 years after his rookie season started, he said in year 10, he felt like he could run and never get tired.
That's actually insane. Did he really say that, Joe?
He said that, yes.
Because
he said, I could run all day.
That's crazy because you know what, Joe? I've had so many times in my life, I've thought, like, can anyone physically get in that good of a shape to where you just never get tired? So that's crazy that you say that, because I take his word for it. I really.
Well, if you're a Kenyan long distance runner, the answer is absolutely yes.
Never, though? Never is crazy.
Dude, you ever see those guys run marathons? They sprint for 2 hours.
Because they don't want to get eaten by.
I don't know what it is. I don't know anything
behind
about Kenya, okay? I don't know anything about Kenya. I don't know what they do there. I don't know if there's mountains, peaks, snow, dirt. I don't know anything. All I know is every time I watch those guys run, growing up and now, they sprint for 2 hours.
That is impressive.
You are going to, at some point, your body's going to give out if you don't have enough water, though. You have to at least have water at some point.
No one ever talked to us about Giles again. Adam, got a big respect for you, my friend. But please, no one talk to us about putting Giles into a basketball game for the Lakers.
Talk about running for no reason whatsoever.
The worst play of the game was he was standing there at the top of the three-point line, and he looked like his feet were stuck on the court. He had no idea where he was.
And I don't want to do too much of the guy because he did have, 2 ACLs?
And that might have been what it is. Yes, he did.
That's what, because he was a top-rated recruit before the 2 ACLs.
They came at a very pivotal point. The biggest steps of your development as a basketball player generally comes between the ages of like 16 and 22, and both those happen within that time frame for him. So when you're losing 2 full years of that level of development, that's a massive thing to come back from. I like Giles quite a bit before those things. It's unfortunate those things happened, but the reality is they did.
Well, if you want to see the word, if you want to ever say the words and want to understand the words, feet planted to the floor, that was it right there.
I mean, it's probably some sort of a mental thing too, right? If that happens to you twice, then you probably have some sort of mental hurdle you have to get over to leave the ground over and over again.
Stone, you remember when we did the live, me and you together, and we had just signed Harry Giles, and me and you were kind of talking about how cold he was in high school, and the same thing with with Cam Reddish or whatnot. And it's funny that you say mental, because like I understand that the competition level is different, but it's like if you go back and see some of those things that like Harry Giles was doing in high school, or even doing in college, go back and look at his pro AM summer mixtapes or whatnot, or even like Cam Reddish. I mean, players like Anthony Edwards said that Cam Reddish in high school was the absolute toughest guards. So to me, it's crazy to think that they come to the league, and whether it be injuries or whether it be, they're just trying to play a role and the team is putting them in one role, But it's
Cam
crazy.
Reddish can't even drive for a layup, John.
See, I know that's crazy though. That's crazy, Gerald. Because go back and look at Cam Reddish. This man is getting tween, getting to the hoop, triple, quadruple team, making the right pass, driving to the layup. So, and he did that all throughout college too at Duke. So it's crazy to me to see players like Cam Reddish, players like Harry Giles, to literally have the biggest fall from grace. Just like from up here of being top tier, #1 player in the nation to where you have feet planted on the ground. It looks like you don't know how to play basketball. Like that's crazy to me.
I mean, he was driving with his Euro step thing that he does, and he puts up the ball. The ball went away from the basket instead of towards the basket. It's an amazing skill to do that when driving for a layup, John. Absolutely amazing.
Wait. I'm sorry. What? Run that back. I was reading one of the
When
comments.
he did his Euro step thing, when he drove to the basket, he put up his hand towards the basket, about a 3-footer, something like that. And the ball went actually away from the basket.
Yeah. No, I mean,
instead of towards the basket.
That it's got to be some mental. There's no way he just like forgot how to hit a layup or forgot how to score. So it's got to be some mental with these guys that just have these biggest fall from grace. But it's sad to see.
Bloodhound, you're correct. That 12-pack of Coors is basically just drinking a gallon of water. There's no alcoholic content.
I drank essentially 8.5 beers in an hour.
Are they Coors though?
Yes, Coors Light. An hour.
Okay, that's not beer then.
Hour and 40 minutes. Yeah.
Joe, what's your rebuttal to that?
It's not the beer getting you drunk. Again, I told you guys I sobered up right after I threw up. It's
because you're never
volume.
drunk.
It's the volume.
You only had Coors.
Is Mike Malone still talking about the Lakers, even playing in Phoenix?
Oh my gosh,
might be in this timeout.
All right, guys. The Lakers suck, Coach. What does the Lakers have to do this game? We're playing Phoenix.
As annoying as Mike Malone is, whatever he's saying is working because they own us right now, and it's embarrassing. It's frustrating, and it's frustrating that obviously if the Lakers were to beat them in a series, I'd absolutely want us to be, laughing all around them and putting it in their face. But the fact that they're doing it to us is frustrating, and the fact that we can't do anything about it is ridiculous.
Aussie's record is 23 standard beers in an Aussie rules game. I was 21 at the time.
That's like he probably had some coming out the bottle when he was like 8 months old or something in Australia.
Well, Aussies can drink. That is a well-known reputation.
That is true.
It takes a lot.
Let's see if you drink a beer every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm starting to. You're tempting me to go crack another one right now.
See, we're a bad influence here. Yeah, I didn't feel Triple J tonight as much. I thought he looked
like Triple J,
not enthusiastic about playing in Memphis tonight.
He knows the season's over. I think. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to go anywhere from where they're at right now. Statistically, I don't think they even can. I think even if they won the rest of their games, they wouldn't make the play-in. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you look in the NBA website, they're out.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to be enthused about.
Well, what I'm going to do now is, again, we're doing a double action game tonight, or I should say post-game tonight. I am going to go, since Gerald has finally arrived from his duties, I am going to now sign off for about 5 to 10 minutes, get myself prepared for a bottle of wine, which, by the way, coincidentally, I won last night in a bowling match.
Nice. Congratulations.
Guarantee I'll beat you in bowling, Joe.
Wild networking.
Wow.
Wild networking.
Okay. All right. Well, what was your score? What was your score?
Well, it was 2 games. Unfortunately, the second game was cut off due to time at the bowl. A lot of these bowling alleys now stop based off time instead of finishing the game.
What?
Yeah, it's stupid. And of course, everyone was kind of slow and not moving. My first game was a 134, and then the second game, I don't know what it would have been, but when they added it all up, I ended up winning.
John said
134 is trash. I'm usually I hadn't bowled in probably 2 years. I'm usually a 150, 160 bowler.
John said you're trash. So, I mean,
Joe, come to California. Let's get a bowling.
I don't know about that. That smoke looks like it's coming at you pretty well, actually.
It's a humidifier. I'm kind of
yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
What's really in there?
What's your average, John?
I'm just kidding,
that
guys.
bong
I
water?
don't bowl at all.
Don't
I
tell me
don't
that's
know.
bong water.
You said it's bong water?
Don't challenge Joe
I
because
never had seen anybody smell a humidifier and look like he's trying to learn Chinese.
That's crazy. This is a humidifier though.
I'm just messing with you. It's good. It's okay. It's got a good ambiance in there. Again, I'm gonna go get my
Don't
wine.
challenge Joe because he would pop up on an airplane, fly up to Northern California. He shows up at the bowling alley, and you'd be like,
I would have to show up at the time. No, I ain't gonna lie, Joe. I'm not a good bowler, but one thing that I am is a winner, and I compete. So,
Thank you for the super chat, Darren. Appreciate it.
Winners are only winning, not just participating. Just know that.
Are you bipolar?
I know your generation's about, yay, you were here and you tried your best.
I'm about winning.
Me, I'm about Talladega Nights. If you're not first,
Charlie
you're
Sheen.
last. Yeah, that's kind of why I don't care what seed we get. To be honest with you.
Matchups matter, especially nowadays. So the Lakers, should they play anyone but Denver in the first round, there's going to be a chance. If it's Denver,
that's great. But then we're gonna play Denver the second round.
We'll play Denver if they get the 8th seed, let's say, right, and they happen to play Oklahoma City, they actually will play Denver in the Western Conference Finals. Should they win the first round and the second round? But hey, what else are we going to do, guys? This is the Lakers fast break. We're going to watch every one of these games until they die, right? Yes. So it doesn't really matter how it plays out. We're going to be here. I just hope they don't lose if they stay in the 9th spot. I just hope they don't lose the first game.
Darren comes in at the super chat and then roast Gerald like 10
Well, then
seconds
and have
after.
to watch New Orleans pick our freaking lottery pick.
Yeah.
Joe, is it true that they have to spray your bowling shoes twice after you use it? They do that for everyone, guys. And by the way, guys, I change my socks every day. I don't have that problem.
Yeah, that's the worst part of bowling is the having to use those shoes.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
It makes it very easy to moonwalk like Michael Jackson on the.
Yeah. It's cool in the glow too. When they light
cool
up.
My problem is I'm never playing with competitive guys. It's hard to play. Well, last night wasn't too bad, but you play better when people are trying hard. Usually people are I'm just here to have a drink and have fun. And the kids. And I'm like, shut the I'm trying to bowl.
Joe, you don't go to the arcade section?
They rarely have those now. Now it's all those, stuffed dolls and that claw thing.
The claw.
Yeah.
Claw.
Once in a while, they'll have like a Cruising USA game or some shit like that, but nothing like a Street Fighter like it used to be.
Does Joe have his name stitched into his?
No, guys. I didn't bowl for the last 2 years. I don't wear one of those wrist things.
I can see Joe be like the main character.
All right, guys, let's go. We're gonna play. We're gonna try to get 300 today.
Oh man, the chat is on one tonight.
That might be something I can probably sport here on another show just to make laughs.
I would love to see your bowling outfit, Joe.
My bowling outfit, my bowling outfit last night was my work shirt and cargo pants, which was not comfortable. My cargo pants are not meant to be twirling, like this. I was doing. I got.
Do you twirl it?
The twirl. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You don't use the holes?
Oh no, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. I push off. I push off from the wrist.
Okay.
So I
I could never understand the people that don't use the holes. That's so crazy to
Man.
me.
It looks, it kind of looks stupid. The thing is, yeah, we're getting a nightcap, Eduardo. We're going to continue it with the post game right now. I'm actually going to go get my wine bottle, get the wine, and do our thing here. I think Stone and John and Gerald, are you guys going to stay for the
Yeah,
I'll
nightcap?
stay for a bit. Yeah.
I'll
Okay,
stay for a
I'm
bit,
going to
too.
go get my wine. I'll see you guys in about 5 to 10 minutes.
you got
All
it.
right.
I'll hide you right now. There we go. All right. So it is the Lakers fast break. It is, of course, Stone Hansen, along with me, Gerald Glassford, and John Costa from Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Right back at you here. The Lakers do hold out the victory, 136-124. A guy kind of got concerning there for a little bit. I kind of saw the same things that we saw in the Milwaukee game in reverse. But you know what? The Lakers were playing a much worse team than the Milwaukee Bucks, and obviously it led to the victory for the Lakers. John, when they shoot this well, as the Lakers did for most of the game, 55%, we talked about it with Stone and I at the halftime. We said, could the Lakers maintain a 61% shooting? Well, they almost did. 55.6 overall, 54.5 from behind the arc, and 80% from the line. That's going to get it done, my friend, and that's going to get it done pretty much when you put up 136 on the second end of a back-to-back, that's going to get it done.
That's absolutely going to get it done, Gerald. And I mean, when you can get a team shooting 54% from the three-point line, when your team as a whole regularly usually struggles from the three-point line, I mean, that's like just biting into a burger and having a wedding ring being in there. It's like, man, I already had the burger and now I got the wedding ring inside the burger. I'm getting married and I got this tasty burger. So that's how it felt to me, because it's like, you know what, man, we got the dominance inside. We're killing them. We're killing them in the paint. We're honestly scoring at ease. Like I would say that there wasn't a time where, besides that late third quarter run, where I was like, man, we haven't got a bucket in a long time. Looks like we don't have an answer for what they're throwing at us. I didn't really feel like that. So for us to be able to get that and shoot 54% from the 3-point line, I mean, Rui went 7 of 8 from the 3-point line. Like, that's crazy. And I mean,
well,
hey,
that's your
man,
Jake LaRavia who did the same exact thing.
that is true. That is true. But Jake LaRavia won't be seeing the floor anymore. Rui, he'll do that again. So I'm happy, Gerald. I'm very, very happy. It's like I said, it's like when you bite into your cheeseburger and there's a wedding ring in it.
I'm not going to lie. I think I could shoot 7 of 8 from 3 with the defense tonight on both sides.
I don't doubt it.
The defense was horrendous.
I'm just happy, Stone and John, that the Lakers now have a positive point differential for the first time this season.
Me
for the first time.
First time this season. They're now 9 games above 500, 41-32. Still, depending on what's going on at Denver and Phoenix, game to 2 games back. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, they have won 5 in a row. You guys talked about finishing out the season and getting to 50 wins is going to be extremely, I don't want to say, I guess, tough. I mean, they literally would have to go undefeated the rest of the way. Now, even though Laker Thomas tweeting that on Twitter and, just saying it just because that's what Laker Tom does. You guys talked about 6-4 and 7-3 as far as being more realistic possibilities for the Lakers. Is that true, John?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm at 6-3.
Stone, you're 6-4 too as well?
6-3, yeah, definitely.
6-3. Okay.
805 Hiking was asking all of us who Vanderbilt is going to take minutes away from when he comes back. Well, if he comes back, I think it's more if.
Yeah. Because Gabe Vincent is closer to Vanderbilt.
Yeah. If he comes back, I think they probably start him on a minutes restriction. I don't think he comes back at 35 minutes a night. And if he were to come back because of that minutes restriction, he probably takes Reddish's minutes and probably Christie's to start. And then maybe if there's enough time for him to ramp up a bit, he probably takes some of Prince's minutes and Rui's minutes. And maybe by that time, if like this is very best case scenario, he gets up to like 26, 28 minutes a night. But it would take all the dominoes falling the right way for that to happen.
Plus, he has to play like he did in the last 2 weeks before he got injured, instead of the first 3 weeks when he came off of injury. That's the thing, because he was terrible, absolutely terrible in those first 3 weeks, Stone, coming off that injury. It wasn't until the first 2 weeks he figured out some things, but also the Lakers finally figured out how to utilize them and utilize him in the offensive scheme. That's
Yeah,
what I think he was.
they have to treat him as the fifth option offensively, and they did, and that's what you have to do. You can't be taking shots away from the rest of the starting four just to give them to Vando for the sake of it. They have to be
He has to be
opportunistic
heading to the
type shots.
basket. He has to
Yeah.
be running to the basket, cutting to the basket, or right around in that dunker spot. That's where he has to be. You cannot have him outside shooting threes. And
And
that's what I think they finally realized.
And they shouldn't come at the expense of shots taken away from LeBron, AD, Reeves, or D'Lo. Vando is, and I think Vando knows that. He knows that he has to be somebody that can be some level of a threat, right? If they're only focusing on those four guys and he's wide open, he's going to have to hit a corner three, and if not, which hopefully he does this instead, he dribbles in and goes for a foul or something. He has to be able to make the exploitation of the defense pay to some degree, and it can't be just standing there hoping that a shot goes in from three in the corner every 10, 15 minutes. So that's what he's going to have to do. And defensively, he brings what we need so desperately, which is a perimeter defender who can lock in, especially at the point of attack. But the reality is, and I think I said this last night with Gerald, is if you really want to make a deep run, you need 3 or 4 guys that can do that on a night-to-night basis. Vando's only one guy. Vando cannot guard 5 players at once. AD and Vando are really your 2 guys that can, AD is protecting the rim, and then you have Vando on the perimeter. You really need 3 or 4 guys on the court to be able to make a deep playoff run that can defend at an above average level. So, and I think that we struggle with that without Vando. If Vincent were fully healthy, we might have that, but he's not going to get to that point this season. So, yeah, it's gonna be a struggle, and Vando coming back is not going to be a full solution to the problem.
John, I know you got a question for you from Robert. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your confidence level that the Lakers will make the playoffs?
Okay, so I mean, if we're answering just making the playoffs or over for top 6,
Well, just making the playoffs. That means having to
even
get
through
out of the
playing.
plan. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Through the playing, honestly, I'm gonna go with. Man, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna go with the 7. I'm gonna go with the
same here.
I'm gonna go with the 7, and the reason why I'm gonna go with the 7 is because we don't know how seeding is gonna fall but let me, I guess, run through both scenarios. If we end up finishing here at the 9th seed, that means we play the Warriors that means we play the Warriors in that first play-in game, and then assuming we win, because I think we'd win, the Warriors, I just don't think they can match up with us. It's similar to what happened last year. Their weakness is guarding bigs, and our biggest strength on our team is Anthony Davis, and that's who we would end up going through. So then that would give us unfortunately the number 8 seed, and congratulations, you get the Denver Nuggets. So that'd be unfortunate, but I do think we could get through it as a 9th seed. But let's say that we finish as that 7th seed. In that 7th seed, honestly, one game straight up, it's hard to confidently say we could beat the Phoenix Suns in just a one-off game, because I mean, they have 2 of the greatest scorers of all. One of the greatest scorers of all time. Another one, like Devin Booker, is probably one of the greatest scorers of this generation. So they have 2 very elite scorers for a one-off game. That's tough. But let's say we end up getting that. then we can get and finish as that 7th seed, and as 7th seed, then that's when we have Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's a matchup which, like earlier in the stream, I said I feel very favorable about. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the 7, no matter the seeding 9, 8, no matter where we end up finishing at.
Yeah, I think right now, well, Beal's been all over the place, Sean. He has been very bad and very good all in the same year. Plus, you don't know how long he's going to stay healthy, Sean. But Suns have been playing like trash. And of course, when we say that, they're winning by 10 tonight on the road at Denver. So I will say this. I put it around 6 or 7 myself because, in that play-in, both Stone and John, and I'll bring it over to you, Stone, your thoughts on that. I'd say about a 6 because the fact, or a 7, because the fact that, you're playing against Steph, you're playing against Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, you're playing against Fox or Sabonis, you're playing against possibly Luka or Kyrie. Those are players that in a 1-game scenario can really light it up. So with that, I would probably put around a 6 or a 7 for me as far as the Lakers getting into the playoffs from the play-in scenario. Stone, what are your thoughts before we send it over to Mr. Joe himself?
I'm gonna give it a 5 because I think I'm probably less confident than you guys that we get a top 8. I'm not saying it's hard, or I'm saying it's probably a 50-50 chance we get a top 8 seed. So if we have to play 2 play-in games, my confidence is a lot lower than if it were just 1 play-in game. And if we're playing 2 play-in games, my confidence meter's probably at like a 3. If it's 1 play-in game, I think it's probably like a 6.
Okay, fair enough. Joe, before we get you a little bit of the vino there, the question was asked by our talk was, with John Humidifier, was actually sent to Mr. Humidifier himself. What are your chances? What, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are your thoughts on the Lakers actually making the playoffs?
The chances?
Yeah, from 1 to 10. As far as, if they were in, because they're going to be in the play-in format, but they're from a 1 to 10 scale, your confidence on them actually getting into a 7-game series.
So making the playoffs would mean they'd have to get a 6 seed, which means they've got 3.
No, I think just making the playoffs.
No,
even through the play.
I think based off what I've seen right now, I'd say there's a good chance to make the playoffs. Yes.
So what, a 7, 8 for you?
Number, Joe.
Number. Between 1 and 10.
7.
Yeah. So 6, 7, most of us then.
I'm the only person not a 7. Oh my god.
What'd you put? Pick 4?
You picked 5.
Well, I picked 6 if it's 1 play-in game we have to do, but 3 if we have to go through 2 play-in games.
I'm not feeling this wine. I'll be back.
All right, well, let's get him off there. So yes, doesn't like that brand of vino. Okay, well, there you go. It is, of course, the Lakers nightcap we're now transitioning into. But guys, thank you so much again to Stone. Thank you so much again to Joe and Laker Nick for being part of our playback coverage, and of course, Mr. John Humidifier right there, aka the man behind Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Guys, great time, absolutely. And before Joe takes over on the nightcap, any final thoughts on this great 136-124 victory for the Lakers, John?
No last thoughts. I mean, 4-game winning streak. I believe that matches the highest winning streak we've been on all season long. So, hey, let's keep it rolling. Next game come Friday. And maybe, to put a nice bow on the stream, in the beginning, Stone was talking about us potentially, maybe somehow, some way. Actually, it wasn't Stone, it was Joe. He's talking about somehow, some way, us going on a 10-0 run here, just like how similar the Rockets did. Hey, maybe we end up going on a 10-0 run and have the biggest stretch of the season, winning streak of the season at the most important time of the season. But as always, love the Lakers Fast Break family and the community, and appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Well, you can stay on as long as you want. I know Joe's going to be going off on his nightcap, so
I'm gonna try to come back. I'm gonna put my daughter to sleep and then go out there in the living room, and then I'm gonna go ahead and come back on.
Will the humidifier be going with you?
Fire will be coming with me. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, feel better, my friend. Absolutely. If you want to come back, you're more than welcome to. Stone, let me go ahead and bring it to you then, my friend. Please go ahead and check out John. Again, Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk. Are you heading out now or?
Yeah. Me? Yeah. I'm about to head out right now.
Okay. Let me go ahead. I'll get you off the screen right here. Thanks,
Appreciate
my friend.
it, guys. See
No,
ya.
thank you. All right. That leaves you and I, Stone, for now, my friend. The Sweet 16 starts tomorrow. You and I have not actually done well in the Sweet 16 as far as the NCAA tournaments, although both of our picks are still live for the championship. 805, yeah, they've won 5 in a row, just to let you know as of yet. So there he is. Here's Johnny. But before we head on out, Stone, any feelings towards the NCAA tournament before we head on out, my friend?
I've watched approximately 0 minutes of college basketball this season, so I have no thoughts on it.
Okay.
It is what it is, and I wasn't expecting to win. I do have, however, a different thought regarding the NBA right now.
Go for it.
Suns look like they're going to beat Denver, which is like a double whammy for us because that means Denver drops to 2, and then Phoenix.
Well, OKC lost as well.
Yeah, OKC lost. But I think OKC.
Does Minnesota pop over them?
Oh,
you're right. No, that'll put them in a 3-way tie. 51 and 20. No, actually, they will be a half game in front. If they lose tonight, they'll be 51 and 22. The Denver Nuggets. They'll still be a half game in front of Minnesota and Oklahoma. So they'll still be in first.
Okay. Yeah, and then I guess Phoenix jumps up to 7, and then Sacramento.
Well, who we most likely can't pass over unless we go undefeated because we don't own the tiebreaker on them. So
we don't own the tiebreaker on either, huh?
No, just the Phoenix Suns.
Oh, we do on the Suns.
Yeah, the Suns we do, but not the Mavericks or the Kings.
Which sucks for us because then they'll be a game or a half game out of reach.
Yeah, unless we go 8-1 in the last 9 games or some gaudy number like that.
Minnesota is still not out of the number 1 seed either, which is an interesting thing. They're still like Cat went down and everyone just assumed they'd drop, but they're still in the mix.
Yeah, they'll move up to number 2 tonight. They're tied with OKC, but they've got the tiebreaker on OKC. So yeah,
that's who I want. That's who I want in the first round right there.
Okay. Okay.
We'll see.
The Pelicans, I think we're out of reach of the Pelicans. Again, if we go 9-1 or undefeated the rest of the way, I think that changes things, of course, but I think people need to get realistic. If we go 6-4, 7-3, that's probably what we're going to do in the last 10 games. But Joe, you got the vino ready now?
I got a better one here. Cupcake Vineyards, 2013, California.
A fine year.
Do you know a lot about wine, Joe? Are you like what do they call those?
I'm not. I know this much. I know how to drink it, and I know how to smoke cigars, but I'm not a connoisseur of either one.
Yeah, that's more than me. I hate wine. I like cigars.
So when you're drinking, you want to smell as you drink.
I can't smell. I don't have a sense of smell.
Hmm?
So there goes half the.
How do you taste your
wine
food
taste.
then?
I can taste.
Then
wine,
you can smell.
I can't smell. I got COVID. Ever since I got COVID, I was never able to smell.
If you taste your food, that means you can smell.
I can't smell.
What do you mean since you got COVID?
Years ago.
Really?
I had COVID, and it took away my sense of smell, and it never came back. But I mean, if I'm going to lose any of my 5 senses,
all right. Let me talk science here.
Dr. Soro.
Let me talk science here real quick.
What's my beer? Real quick, my beer of choice, Red Stripe. I love Red Stripes.
When you eat a hamburger, do you taste the meat?
Mm-hmm.
Then you didn't lose your sense of smell.
I did. I can't smell, Joe.
You can't taste food unless you can smell. It's science.
I don't know.
Then what are we going to do? Throw Stone in a lab and just prod him to death?
I can do that. I mean, I'll put it this way: if something's like really strong, I can smell it. Like let's say there's like rotting eggs or something, I can smell that. But like on a day to day, like just scent type of thing, I can't really smell. Like a normal thing.
Well, Caitlin Clark can play in both.
Yep.
That's the beauty of it.
Nice, Sean.
What would have been good is if they were playing at the same time and the WNBA has to raise their prices, which is really the NBA.
Yeah,
I
but they
love
only
Red
got,
Stripe.
but they don't have many teams that can draw audiences. That's the problem as of yet.
Well, they're thinking that it's the old Joe Namath tactic where Joe Namath got paid. What was it? I think it was $400,000 in 1967 by the Jets, and everybody's salaries went up, and the competition with the NFL started getting hazy, or I should say, the NFL started getting worried about the AFL taking all their talent, and then it created the merger and blah blah blah.
Like the USFL back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Kelly, Herschel Walker. I remember that.
The problem is that USFL didn't have enough. I think ultimately, and this is the truth. I think some of the USFL people were hoping that their team would get merged into the NFL, but it never happened.
Didn't need to.
Well, they did expand 4 teams later. So I think they assumed maybe there would be a chance. I think if there had been, the NFL owners they've changed since then. The Tex Schrams and the Art Rooneys, the firsts, those guys were a little different mentality-wise. These guys now are just about money, and they don't really care about anything else.
Darvin Ham was asked if he wishes he went to this current starting lineup of Davis, James, Hachimura, Reeves, and D'Angelo earlier in the season, given Rui's success as a starter.
Yeah.
Did you read his response yet, Stone, or no?
I was reading that earlier, actually.
Did you read it to our audience?
It's a super duper long quote. You want me to read it?
Yes, let's read it.
I'll read it. I'll read it to you guys.
Okay.
I mean, things play out the way they play out. The same could be said when you're looking at I love that philosophy. It could play out. It is what it is. The same could be said when you're looking and you're going through different stretches during the season. And I think whether it's injuries or lack of performance, if the guys struggle or going through a tough stretch, it forces you to make different decisions, and you have to activate different lineups and different schemes or whatever that you feel like in the moment are going to help you get through whatever rough stretch you're going through. Again, injuries, would everybody agree that injuries would affect the rotation or minutes or something like that? Like it's a real thing. It's funny because it was being reported like I'm just sitting in my office and just throwing stuff against the wall with a bunch of healthy player. Like, no,
he is.
There's a reason why things were the way they were. And I'm just happy we got through those stretches. And now we're in a great place, a great space mentally, spiritually with the group. Physically, we're coming along. Guys are remaining strong and the little knickknacks here and there, but we're getting guys back, which is really important, and guys who are working their way back.
Who are you getting back?
Well, Gabe is the one most likely expected back, possibly by the end.
What the hell is Gabe Vincent going to do?
I'm just
wait. Let Gerald finish because the best part is about to come.
Okay. So I'll start out again. Guys are remaining strong and there's little knickknacks here and there, but we're getting guys back, which is really important. And guys who are working their way back, everything is working according to plan and according to the schedule.
That's so the best part.
So we feel good about where we are right now.
He said it's going according to plan.
So his plan was to get a 9th seed?
Yeah, that's the best part of the quote. It's working according to plan, and they're exactly where they want to be now.
But Stone, things play out the way they play out.
I didn't. Everything he said to me was correct. The first half of that quote, where things happen, you're forced to adjust to things because of different injuries, and different players help you in different instances. All that's true, but then he goes into the fact that people think that he's just throwing stuff at the wall. But It is. It is exactly what he's doing. He has no clue what he's doing, so he throws stuff at the wall. So, yeah. And then the fact that he says that it's all according to plan, and it's ridiculous. But we've grown accustomed to it.
Should just stop doing press interviews. Just say, "Hey, we played a good game. Move on." Just not once he goes into detail, it does not come off well. Absolutely does not come off well.
Alan said he was being waterboarded by words. Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes with Ham.
So, Joe, I mean, I will give you. Are you willing to give him any credit for the past 2 nights as far as the back-to-back victories? Any credit? I don't like the rotations in tonight's game, especially when they went on that big
Rotations
run.
tonight had nothing to do with anything other than he tried to see if he could sit his main guys the rest of the way, being up 23 points, and it didn't work. That's all he was doing. That part doesn't bother me. The response could have been like 2 sentences, very short sentences. Usually when someone talks that much from a simple question, usually they don't know what the hell they're doing. Just babbling.
Yeah, Sean, I hope that does improve when he comes back.
I'm sorry, guys. Gabe Vincent is toast. How is the guy who hasn't played all year going to do anything? Just understand this. There is something positive happening in areas that I thought wouldn't go right. Number one, Taurean Prince on back-to-back nights played very, very good.
Yeah, 14 points tonight. Absolutely.
Dinwiddie is hitting his open shots. That's very good. So let's roll with what's working now. The problem, though, is there's 82 games in a season, and they're a 9th seed. They're a 9th seed. Playing according to plan is the biggest horseshit line you could say without somebody not laughing. Like, I would have laughed in there. What do you mean it's according to plan? According to plan would have been winning 5 of those games you lost in December against lousy teams. It's a terrible answer in so many ways. If you are 5 games up more than you are now, you are sitting at a 4 seed. Now you can say, yeah, it was according to plan, but not a 9th seed. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to buy that. You needed to have home court advantage at least in the first round this year. We understood last year didn't work out because you had to make a in-season trade and trades and improve your team. This year, you had a training camp, you had an off-season, you had a chance to create chemistry, create a cohesiveness, and you didn't lose AD or LeBron for any extended time. You didn't lose D'Angelo or Austin or Rui for any extended time. Rui, okay, a little bit at the beginning, but I would like to say when you have 2 stars on your team that are playing, you should be able to figure out how to win and beat teams like San Antonio. So according to plan, that is just a stupid answer. 9th seed, really? According to plan? He should have said that after. What he should have said was he should have said, ask me that question in 9 more games, and I'll see where we're at. If they finish 50 and 32, then he can say that. Whether they're a 4th seed, 5th seed, 8th seed, 7th, wouldn't matter. Our goal was to try to get 50 wins this year. We just happen to have a year where the 11th damn seed has a winning record. The 11th seed is 2 games over 500. And this is not the first time. The Western Conference has been a juggernaut since Jordan retired. The first time. Oh, I'm sorry, the second time. Think about that for a second, guys. Think about that. Stone, how old are you?
24.
You're 24 years old. Before you were born, the West has owned the East. in just overall talent, execution, team, whatever. You have never been alive. You have never been alive where the East was more dominant than the West. Even when the East won titles, they were never overall better than the West. I can honestly say that. And you know that. You know, Stone, I know the years. I know the years very well. From 1990, I mean, even before then, but I like to use the 1990-91 because that's when my memory as a growing up is where I started getting invested in these games. This is not a joke, guys. This is real. Stone Hansen has never been, as much as he knows about basketball, he's never, ever been alive on this planet where the Eastern Conference was more dominant than the West. How about that? So, yeah. And Kobe has the most wins against 50-win teams in any star player in the history of the NBA. Competition matters, folks. It really does.
No, not 2000s, Alan. Not 2000s. That's my claim to fame. And Darren, the answer for the highest scoring six men this year is Jordan Clarkson. I'm pretty sure.
What's the averaging? Because Monk is 15.6.
He's at 17.1, I think.
So, yeah, there you go. Okay. Jordan Poole, you can't. I know the Stat Muse has it all weirded out. So yeah, it's Jordan Poole started most of the year. I know he's coming off the bench now, but yeah, he's not. That's not. So Clarkson would probably be a better. But it looks like Monk will probably be the sixth man of the year.
I was born. Yeah, I think I've listened to the show before. And I think I'm the same age as John. But yeah,
I think John's a year older than you.
Okay. Yeah, I have to. It's harder being born later when it comes to basketball because
so you're a 2000 baby.
99.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just under the wire.
Yeah, so I've lived in two different centuries. But it's harder to know without having watched things live, obviously. Like you guys have been able to watch throughout the 90s things that happened in the 90s live. It's harder when you have to go back and watch it like revisionist wise, and you don't get the same experience watching things unfold as they happen. But that's probably the biggest challenge of my age relative to basketball knowledge.
And you can never relive it because you already know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You have to feel Jordan, Brian Russell.
Yeah, I can only go based upon what I've watched, from old games that I can recover. Growing up, I watched all the Hardwood Classics games on repeat. That's all I can base it off of, though I can't base it off of, I haven't watched a full regular season of Michael Jordan. So, but it is what it is.
So are we officially into the nightcap?
We have been, yeah.
I think as soon as you pop the wine, right?
Yep.
So I'm on my second glass. Salute to everyone. There's some good discussions here for tonight's game. I think we got a lot of that out. But I think it's important to discuss the reality of what's coming. What's coming is the Lakers have a chance to make up some bad games from earlier in the year. We said that this road trip would be a win if they go 4-2. They're halfway there already. Are we going to be greedy?
Yes.
Or are we going to accept that 4-2 is still good, starting 2-0?
Next game is Friday, Indiana, correct?
Correct. Indiana got smoked by the Bulls today.
Yeah.
But they're going to play much harder against the Lakers at home.
They will, because they've been roasted twice by the Lakers.
So I'm going to say this might be the one loss.
And Toronto's on a 12-game losing streak. So if we're ever going to win in Toronto, which we're usually universally cursed on, it's got to be this weekend.
Toronto's should be a pushover game. I say should be because this Lakers team never takes an easy game generally
Always
lightly.
play.
But
We
they're
always
not doing
play.
that. They haven't done that lately, guys.
Yeah,
Think about it for a
I
second.
was going to say
But
tonight.
we always
tonight
talked
they may
about,
start something different.
but we always talked about how Lakers in the past were cursed in Sacramento, Portland, and Toronto. Usually because it's usually like an afternoon game. It's usually like a game where it's like 12:30 Pacific time or something like that, really early. I think this is an actual evening game, so that may benefit the Lakers this time around. But of course, they've got a back-to-back, and against Washington, Washington's played a little bit better as of late, but it is still Washington. So
I'd say the last really bad loss against not a good team was Atlanta on January 30th.
when was the Brooklyn game? Was that earlier?
It was earlier.
Okay.
That was way early. That was in
Toronto.
December.
Toronto's way worse than the team we played tonight. So it really should be an easy game for us, a breezy game. But we'll see.
I'm going to say this because there's 2 days off between Indiana and Brooklyn. I feel very comfortable that they can beat Brooklyn. If they lose to Indiana, they're going to beat. They have 2 days off to beat Brooklyn. Then now they're looking at a 3-1. Should they lose to Indiana, they're 3-1 in the first 4 games. Now you're telling me they can't split the next 2 games, possibly win both? I think there's a good chance that they can do either or. But either way, a 4-2 road trip is a success based off how the team has played this year. If they go 5-1, it's a gigantic win. If they go 6-0, they might smell winning out. They might go after it. Why? Because if they have any chance to try and get in the playoffs, not the play-in, I believe they can do that. Or can they get the 7th spot so that they can guarantee that once they win, they sit in the 7th spot? They've made it exciting to watch.
If they do not go 3-1 over their next 4, that's if there's anything worse than 3-1, they have a massive issue because Nets, Raptors, Wizards are. I don't care what the scheduling is; those are bad, terrible teams with a lot of them having their best players just sitting out the rest of the season with whatever made up excuses. So if you can't beat those 3 teams, I don't care what the schedule. I don't care if they're all back to back to back. You should be beating those teams.
Okay. So let's talk about roster during this next 4 games. Safe to say that AD's coming back Friday?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure after a couple of days off, or I should say a day off, they both will be available for the Brooklyn game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, Toronto and Washington, do they play both those games?
I don't think both play both.
Okay.
Both LeBron and AD.
Do you think if the Lakers beat Toronto, they sit LeBron for the Washington game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it depends on where they're at in the standings. But then again, he just, he came out with the strategic comments and all that. He has to be strategic, and now he goes about playing games with his ankle. So
I think it's most likely that we end up doing the same thing we just did right now, where we do a split where LeBron plays one of the Raptors Wizards and then AD plays one of the Raptors Wizards.
We needed Phoenix to lose tonight, and they didn't.
I think they alternate games for Raptors and Wizards.
That would have been great if they would have lost and Golden State would have lost.
I'm not worried about Golden State. Phoenix would have been 1 game. We would have been 1 game away from the 8. That's the problem.
And we don't have the tiebreaker now. Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, right now it's just a guessing game. Nobody's going to know how it's going to play out. And so it's too many games to get right correctly to predict correctly with this amount of teams. Because we have to predict the top and who the Lakers are competing with. And that's just too many teams with too many games left to statistically be accurate. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, it's going to be interesting, and I think I feel very safe that we have at least a 9 seed. I feel very confident in saying that. Who knows how much higher we get, though.
Here's the interesting part. As of right now, we are looking at from 4 to 8 is separated by 1 game each. So the 4th is 6 games, 5th is 7, 6 is 8, 7 is 9. Matter of fact, Phoenix wins here. They're going to win. They're going to be up. They're going to be 8.5. They're going to take the 7th spot. Sacramento will drop down to the 8. It's the West. The West is brutal for a reason.
It's a gauntlet. So let's say we talked about last night how none of us wanted to face. You weren't here, Joe, but I'll ask you the same question, and then I'll ask my other question I was going to. Out of Dallas, Sacramento, and Phoenix, who would you want to least see in a play-in situation?
Sacramento.
Okay, that's interesting because the rest of the panel said, or one of them said Sacramento. I think 2 said Phoenix, or no, 2 Sacramento, 1 Phoenix, and then
I said Dallas.
oh, you Dallas. That's correct. You said you would want to see Sacramento. My bad.
I would want to see Sacramento. I don't think
Yeah.
they can get it done at the same level when it counts, when it's in the playoffs. I just don't think their only experience really is just that series with Golden State, and I really think the Lakers would have the advantage going in.
So let's say we had to play. I guess we have to play Golden State, and then let's say we have to play Golden State, and then we have to play Phoenix. What's your confidence level that we win both those games to get in the play-in?
Then it goes back to the 6-7, I guess, out of 10 for me. Because again, Phoenix, one of those guys could go off. I'm not too worried about Golden State. I am worried about Phoenix.
I think there's a really strong chance that the Lakers can get the 8 if they win out on this road trip. Because Phoenix is playing a difficult schedule. And I think they just probably blew their wad against Denver right now.
For those listening, real quick, if you guys don't mind, I'll read off real quick just what Sacramento, Phoenix, and Dallas's schedules look like. And then I think most people watching probably know what the Lakers' remaining schedule is. But for Phoenix, they got Denver, and then OKC, New Orleans, Cleveland, Minnesota, New Orleans, back-to-back Clippers, and then Sacramento and Minnesota. All those teams are top 3 seeds.
Wow.
They have only top 3 seeds remaining for Phoenix. For Sacramento, it's Dallas, Utah, Clippers, Knicks, Celtics, Nets, OKC, New Orleans, Suns, and then Portland. So theirs is a little bit lighter, but you still have a lot of really good teams in there. And then for Mavericks, it's Sacramento, Houston, Golden State. So those are 3 massive games right there. And then you have Atlanta, and then you have Golden State and Houston again, and then Charlotte, Miami, Detroit, and OKC. So Dallas probably has the easiest schedule of those 3 that I just named off right now. And then that means Dallas probably, in my estimation, stays at 6. I think Dallas is probably out of reach at 6, and now it's between Sacramento and Phoenix. Phoenix has a gauntlet to go through, a gauntlet. So if LA just does what they have to do, let's say they go 6-3, that might be all it takes. If they go 6-3 for the rest of these games, that might be enough because there's a real chance Phoenix could go. Phoenix could go like 3-6 on their record, so that would be enough to flip it and get us in. But I think it's going to come more down to how well does Phoenix do versus evaluating how well does the Lakers do, because the Lakers have a pretty light schedule. We just got to win the games that are pretty winnable.
So let's talk about that. The winnable games to bad teams. Would you consider Indiana a really good team?
Not really good, but winnable.
I think at home they're much better, obviously.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I mean,
Brooklyn,
it's
but
a
okay,
50-50.
let's say Indiana's good. They're what, the 6th seed in the East?
Yeah.
Brooklyn, Toronto, Washington, no good. Cleveland, good. Minnesota, good. Golden State, Memphis, no good. New Orleans.
Yeah.
So they're playing half their schedule is good and half is bad.
I would say half their schedule is almost write-off games, pushover teams. And then I would say Indiana and Pelicans are both very, very, very winnable. Cleveland and Timberwolves are the teams that I think give us trouble. And then Golden State for me is 50-50, but I think Pelicans and Indiana we should beat.
The tough one will be Cleveland, Minnesota, because it's going to be a back-to-back. But it is at home, and it's a Saturday game. It is a Saturday game at 12:30, which means it's not, they're going to have almost like a half day off. They don't play until late Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But the moral of the story is the Lakers are going to have to win. If they want to guarantee, in my book, a 6th seed, they have to win the rest of their games.
You go clean?
You got to clean it out. There's no other way to get the 6. And there's
the 6. The 6.
Yeah,
okay.
The 6. I'm talking about the 6.
Gotcha.
If they want to guarantee a playoff spot without the play-in, they have to win out. They have to win the remaining 9 games.
Does that guarantee it though?
Unless Dallas wins the same way. Right now, they're both 5-game winning streaks.
Yeah, because
I don't think Dallas is going to finish on the remaining season undefeated or unbeaten.
I don't either. But they have, what do they have on us? 2.5 or 2? I don't know if they updated yet the standings.
Well, Dallas is 3 games in the loss column ahead of the Lakers.
But they're technically 4 games ahead because they own the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So what would happen is what would happen is that the Dallas would need to lose 2 games the rest of the way. Lakers would have to win out for them to get that 6th seed above Dallas.
Yeah, which to me I feel like is very unlikely for both things to happen. Well, not necessarily. Dallas, they have out of their 10 games. I mean, Dallas they're another team that could go 7-3 the remainder of the way. And even if they did that and we won out, that's not enough. So I think I'm almost willing to write off the 6th seed. I don't think the 6th seed is really attainable. I think 7 and 8 is attainable, and you want that because you want to only do one play-in. But I think it's going to come down to the Suns because the Suns just have such a gauntlet.
Well, if it's just the Suns, then that's why there's a shot at an 8 seed if the Lakers finish 7-2.
Even 6-3, I think, yeah.
7-2, which is, I think, based off how they've been playing lately, is very realistic. It's very realistic. But but still, even with that, I think they'd have to win out on the road. They'd have to win these 4 games because I think Cleveland, Minnesota, and New Orleans are you could even say Golden State. They're going to be playing for something. To me, those are hard games. Those are hard games to win.
Yeah, I mean, let's say we end up winning these 4, right? Indiana, Brooklyn, Toronto, and Washington. We win all those 4. And then we end up dropping Cleveland and the Wolves, and then we win the next 3 with the Warriors, Grizzlies, or let's say we even split. Let's say we split one of the Cavs, Wolves, and then we win Warriors, Grizzlies. The Pelicans game is going to be interesting because that's going to be like a playoff atmosphere. Like I think the Pelicans, they might even be guaranteed their spot in the playoffs, but the Pelicans still might be wanting to play really, really hard to guarantee the matchup they get that first round. If they view, let's see the standings. If they view, the Clippers as like a matchup they really want, I don't know how they view them, but if the Pelicans were to really want the Clippers, they might treat this game versus the Lakers as a really strong game that they want to win because they want that first round matchup. So that Pelicans game could be pretty tough to finish it out.
Hi.
Are you gonna go for it for the bottle?
We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be. I mean, let's talk shop here a little bit, guys. Did you think they were going to start out 2-0 here? I didn't.
2-0.
I thought the Milwaukee game was a loss.
Yeah, same here.
I didn't.
We thought that was a loss. About 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
I didn't think it'd be a win. I did think it was a loss once we got to the fourth quarter. Going into that game, I didn't think it would be a loss because of how well we've played without LeBron. Like without LeBron, I thought we still had a puncher's chance.
Tim Legler talked about that on ESPN today. One of the few guys that still knows what to do when he talks about basketball. And what happens is the ball movement is different without LeBron. And maybe the weight of what needs to happen, because it's equally distributed, maybe that plays a factor. But then again, guys, they're playing the same way even when LeBron is there. So LeBron played today. What did you see today that was different other than Austin Reeves getting tired? I don't think that's the problem. I think at this point, one thing that I'd like to say that's happened here is I believe this starting lineup has created a chemistry. And Stone, I know this is going to bother you, so bear with me here, okay? We've made so many mistakes breaking up continuity since the title, or I should say since 2021. And a little bit of me is thinking about setting themselves up for one more run now, should this not work, which means, close your ears if you have to, bringing back D'Angelo. Okay? Why? Because if this is D'Angelo at his peak, and I got to admit, I'm not saying this because I'm a Laker fan. This is the best I've seen him play, even in since his All-Star year. He's absolutely phenomenal and perfect for this team. So with that, let's say the Lakers do what they do in this run. Let's say they get lucky and they make it to the second round. Let's just say they do that. Okay. I'm already starting to think, okay, you got Austin, you got Rui, you got D'Angelo with LeBron, who's probably going to get an extension, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. I don't know. You still have AD who just signed his extension. But what you got to do this time, you really got to do this, is you got to cross my fingers that the Pelicans wait another year to get their draft pick. You get somebody good in the draft, and you get someone good for the mid-level exception. And if Taurean Prince wants to come back for the minimum, if he continues to play like this, Spencer Dinwiddie wants to sign for one more year, if this is how he's going to play, now you build the depth.
You think that's enough?
Probably not. Probably not. But it's a shot. At least there's a shot there. It's either that or clean everything out. But then what does that guarantee you? Now we have to wait for draft picks for another year. That's the problem. And these guys are not that old. LeBron is really the only one, and Dinwiddie, that are old. It's really a tough assessment. It really is. But there would have to be like a next level deal that Rob does in the summer, where maybe that one of the guys is actually like, when you get him, they're like, oh man, we're not going to have to worry about those 20-point leads when the guys sit down. That's the guy we need.
The pathway to doing that, though, I think, has to involve two of D'Lo, Reeves, and Rui. At least two.
We
The
only have
pathway
like,
to getting that guy.
but if New Orleans takes the pick from us this summer, we only have like the 57th, 58th. It's a very late second round draft pick. Is that correct? I believe.
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
I'll take a look, but yeah, because that's what Chris was asking. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. Hopefully, you've liked and subscribed to us. That's the problem. If New Orleans decides to cash in and take away the Lakers' first round draft pick, I think the Lakers do not have
let's say
until like 57 or 58. I'll verify that right now.
Let's say even if they decide to defer to 2025, and they'll say, okay, well, we'll wait till 2025. Is the 24? We have 3 firsts. That means you still have to add enough salary and talent to be able to get a player of the caliber Joe's talking about, which means 2 of Reeves, D'Lo, and Rui, plus those picks. And that's just getting you like probably the bare minimum for somebody like Trey's just the name that's been thrown around. So I'm using him as the example. But
by the way, 54. We have the 54th pick from the Clippers in this draft, because our draft, we had the 46th pick, which would be right around now. We give it away to the Spurs. And then of course New Orleans has the right to take away our pick if we don't keep it.
So the Lakers have the 14th pick as they sit now, which the New Orleans Pelicans have the choice of taking that pick.
And take a look at that. If you went to Tankathon right now and you did a sim lottery, I just did that, guys. And if the New Orleans Pelicans don't take our draft pick, they would have the choice of Donovan Clingan, Kyle Filipowski, Isaiah Collier. They would all be in the mix right there.
I think. Well, I don't know much about this class, but what I think is that New Orleans, if we stay where we're at, New Orleans probably defers to 25. But for the sake of argument, let's just say that they do. 3 firsts and let's say D'Lo and Rui, or D'Lo and Austin, probably. They'll probably want Austin. D'Lo, Austin, and 3 firsts is like just a baseline offer to get you into Trae Young talks. Like if another team wants Trae more teams are going to have more ammo to throw for Trae. And judging by, recent trades, which is what dictates the market, those superstar guys are generally going for more than D'Lo, Reeves, and 3 firsts. Like it seems to me like that's just like the very bare minimum package that you need to get that sort of third caliber star that you're looking for. And I don't know if the Lakers are going to be able to pull that off. And that's if D'Lo signs back, because you need his salary back. You need him to opt in, and you need New Orleans to defer the pick. So you have to have 2 dominoes fall for you. It's a really uphill battle for them this summer. And I'm not saying Trae specifically, Sean, just whoever, throw out any name, player X. But that's just sort of the way I view this summer and the uphill battle it's going to have to be.
Let's say the Lakers do get to keep their draft pick. Would you guys keep it? And after seeing how we failed in this year's draft, would you keep it and try to bank on, maybe trying to get someone that could help out the team a little bit better this time around?
I can't say because I haven't done any work on this draft. So without knowing really what's available at that point in the draft, I can't really have an opinion on that.
Fair enough. We'll see. Again, it all depends on what New Orleans is going to choose or what New Orleans is going to decide. But very interesting.
It's a tough one, guys, because again, that New Orleans pick could dictate a lot of power there. Currently it's a 14. Currently it's a 14 pick. That's I'm gonna think that when you can't guarantee next year that you're gonna get that high a pick.
Or you hope the next year you won't get that.
Hoping has nothing to do with it. If let's say the Lakers stay at 14, I don't care how weak the draft is. You probably don't pass up another 14. You don't pass up a 14 if you can get it.
I don't know much really anything about this draft. I've just been told by people this is, in their experience, like probably in the last decade, the worst draft that they've evaluated. So I don't know if you're looking at it from a probability standpoint. Do you take a middle of the pack pick and take your chances in a historically bad draft from what's being said to me? Again, I can't verify this on my own eyes, but do you take that, or do you roll the dice and say, even if we get the 20th pick next year, it's probably equal to what we could get this year, and we're fine with that? I don't know how the Pelicans do that.
Chris was asking. Yeah, Chris, I was just thinking, Edney, yes. As far as a big, Zubac,
Edie. Zach
Edey. Edey, sorry, Edey, not Edney. Jeez,
he's trash.
Well, Edey has improved on defense a little bit more. He has lost a little weight.
I'm not looking at. Look, here's the deal with that.
I think he's a second rounder, though.
I'm looking at someone, and so was Zubac. It's Zubac redux here. He could be someone that could be the center with AD.
Well, if you get though at 14, Joe, I'm just saying, I just did the tankathon. Again, it's just the sim lottery, but that came up and you hit it and randomly does. But if it gives the Lakers and the Lakers keep the pick in that area, you're talking about 7'2" Donovan Clingan or Kyle, who's at UConn right now, and Kyle Filipowski from Duke at 7-footers. So if those guys would be available, at least that would be some beef that you could.
I'm going to say again, because the Lakers are in need mode. Best player available, obviously, for sure at all times. But usually when you start going into the late 1s and 2s, you can somehow also work need, right, and fit. So Edey would be one as a position that the Lakers desperately need a big guy. The other is, in my opinion, that the most improved player in the country is a guy from my alma mater, which is Jaden Ledee. Jaden Ledee gives the Lakers a much needed, but I don't think he's going to last till 14 if they have it. This guy's big and he's skilled. And when you talk about these guys, the pressure's not going to be on them. Obviously, the Lakers, there's always pressure, but to have AD next to you there and to have someone that actually has size and has some ability with those guys, and something that we've said all year about being soft. Well, guys, let's get a tree trunk. Let's get a guy that actually can maneuver with his size. I think of when I see Ledee, sometimes my mind goes to Jesus. I just had his name in my head.
He's 6'9", 240.
Right. What was his name? Knicks player, went to Charlotte. He passed away. I had the name. It just went away now.
Not sure who you're talking about.
This is way past or way before Stone existed.
I don't know.
Hold on.
San Diego State, Darren. He's a senior, which he will not go in the top 10 because of that word, that dirty word, senior.
Really?
So, yeah, seniors. Well, Stone, how often do seniors go in the top 10 in the draft?
Rarely, and when they do, the odds aren't great.
Yeah, and like in the sim lottery for Tankathon, their top senior was 12th.
The last lotto guy to go, well, Cam Johnson, and then you had Chris
Anthony
Duarte.
Mason.
Oh, Mason.
Oh, I should have said Knicks. I was like, yeah, I know he played for the Hornets, but I mean, like, should have said Knicks. I would have had.
I'm sorry, guys. My memory's trash.
Bobcats.
Yeah.
Bobcats.
Yeah. See, Jeff. No, Jeff. See, Jeff.
I gotta get going though. I'm getting.
That's late your time, my friend. Yeah, closing on midnight.
Yeah.
You should move back to the West Coast, man. You can drink, do shows, and still go party afterwards.
That's been the biggest drawback so far, but I've liked everything else. But I will catch you guys hopefully on the next one, Friday, I think.
Friday, Indiana.
Hopefully then. So I'll see you guys.
All right,
but
thanks.
I've enjoyed talking to you guys.
No,
we
appreciate
love
everything,
having
man.
We'll see you on
great.
Friday.
You were terrific
Have a
today.
good
Thanks,
night.
my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Jeff, I hope you guys you're going to be. Are you going to be at the Dodgers game opening day? I think you said that on your tweet earlier today. So hope you have fun, enjoy. From Chavez Ravine, if that's the case. But Joe, yes, just you and I.
We can put a topper on this here. I'm on my third glass of wine.
So when is your first Dodger game of the season? Because Jeff is going to open.
I have to pick. I have two tickets right now that I got to choose which game to go to.
Okay.
I don't know yet which game yet. It's probably going to be at Dodger Stadium too.
Take Jeff with you.
Oh, I'm going to go to the Padre Dodger games. That's for sure. I just don't know which ones yet.
Okay.
Of course, the freaking games they decided to pick to go to Korea happened to be San Diego games that I'm not going to be able to see. Usually I see at least 3 games in San Diego.
Yes, Sean, it was technically the start of the season in Korea, but
yeah, one of the dumbest splits I think I've ever seen in any sport. Here's 2 regular season games. By the way, come back and play some spring training games in between your third game. I don't know who decided to do that schedule, but they should get slapped in the face for it.
Cool, bro. Do you really want to see the Angels lose? You know, I'm an Angels fan like you, but man, Dodgers are switch over to the Dodgers. Make yourself feel better because they win more often. Go put on a Dodger blue. Go. It's okay.
Well,
I was a Dodger fan for my childhood. So, and somebody gave me a Dodger jersey for Christmas, trying to give me the big hint to go back to the Dodger side of things. Now that Steve Garvey's running for office there, I think all the signs are pointing to Dodger blue. So
it's good. It's good. Again, for those of you who joined late, like Cool Bro, the Lakers beat Memphis. I kept calling them Brooklyn tonight.
Yes,
because of their court and their jerseys. But the Lakers win tonight 136-124. We had merged the post game with the Nightcap in case you guys are confused on why I'm drinking during post game. Technically, you're now watching the Lakers Nightcap. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I'm getting Joe a Dave Roberts jersey. Yes, please get me a Dave Roberts jersey so I can wipe my ass with it. So I use a bidet too, so that shows you how loyal I am to that. Again, thank you all for being here. We've been here for 2.5 hours. Enjoyed every minute of it. Getting a nice little buzz right now, so I'm going to finish off my glass, get some good food in my stomach here before I can sit down and maybe watch a nice movie. Well, Charmin is great, but a bidet is number one.
The Dodgers and Reds, yeah, very classic. Those are some of my first memories. I said on the show that I told you about the story that when Steve, it was my birthday, and I had my family had tickets for the Dodgers game, but I was sick and I didn't get to go, and I was crying so bad when I was a little kid because Steve Garvey had 2 home runs and Vin Scully was calling. I had my little AM transistor radio and I was listening to it, and Garvey out of the park again. I'm like, oh. So yeah, I was like, oh man. So yeah, those were a classic. Dodgers and Reds with the big red machine versus the Dodgers. I still don't know, politics aside, I will say this until that day I die. I have no idea, why Steve Garvey. Okay, you can talk about his off the field stuff, but
what did he do off the field?
I guess with Cindy Garvey, the marriage, the way it, I guess maybe domestic violence issues, maybe are
Does
concerned.
everyone have a problem with this problem?
Something like that. I don't know.
What is this?
He had some sort of type of issues. Then, the press, he got on the wrong side of the press. He is a Hall of Famer. I don't know what 10-time All-Star, 2-time NM MVP, World Series winner, played how many, over 1,000 consecutive games. It wasn't first base. I get it, but still, it's 1,000 consecutive games. As in a age now where nobody plays all the games. What more do you need as far as that's going?
Sean, if you put one on your existing commode, I bought mine for $70. Bought 3 of them actually for 3 of my bathrooms. I've only installed one though.
Edie has improved, Chris. I know. Remember, Stone was religiously looking at draft stuff, but literally went cold turkey about a year ago.
Hold on, Alan. How is
he has improved?
How is a bidet soft? If anything, I'm about hygiene.
Yeah, bidets are.
There is no such thing as being soft when it comes to hygiene. Except if you're like plucking your eyebrows, stuff like that. That's different. But that's not hygiene. That's cosmetic. But I'm sorry. There is no softness when it comes to cleaning your rear end.
And bidets are now a thing now here in the States as far as trending upwards. As far as
you want to talk about saving the planet, saving trees, saving your
water,
ass,
saving water.
Okay. Cleaning your, you know what? Hey. It's the best thing. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend that you do it.
All right, hold on. Let me just. I got to spill out. See, instead of watching M-rated stuff all the time in horror movies, find out, educate yourself more about the world, cool bro. Bidets are toilets. The problem with cool
bro is he's infecting his brain with all that fast food trash and movies he shouldn't be watching as a child.
I hear you. I'm not as parent.
Yeah, you're never going to convince me that being clean is soft. I take 2 showers a day, folks. I don't mess around with my hygiene.
Here, cool, bro.
I smell good all day.
I'm going to send you a link.
Matter of fact, I sometimes shower before I go work out because it feels good.
We stayed in a hotel in Hawaii a couple years ago, and it was like they had a bidet because it was like because Hawaii, they cater to Japanese tourists, so they have to have a lot of bidets over there. And yeah, it was like night and day to what we have here in the States.
And Sean, that's a great point. That's where it belongs. That's why,
Sean. Yes,
that's why all the women in my life have enjoyed my company.
Sean Harder's got it right.
I mean, I'm a fan. The good old Charmin boy. Cool bro.
10 years from now, you'll be saying things differently.
Do me a favor, cool bro. Go to the corner of your room and just stay there for 5 more minutes.
Cool, bro. In 10 years, trust me, bidets are going to be more common in the United States, and you're going to say to yourself, yeah, why wasn't I turned on to bidets more?
Yes, it's very good. I didn't think we were going to end the discussion tonight on
We've gone all over the place on this show. Why stop there?
Yeah, Taco Bell. Okay, God, this kid has no idea what world he lives in. Anyways, I want to thank you all for being here. Anyone who has any comments and questions except for Cool Bro, please email me at LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com.
What about the Twitch viewer earlier?
Twitch viewer is likely one of my dumb idiot moron friends. Still ban him, by the way.
I timed him out. I Twitch is still
just get rid of him. I hate stupid toilet humor like that on a show like this.
Okay, we had toilet to start off the show.
Yeah, but this is a functional discussion, not hey, what are you doing over there? Anyways, y'all want to contact me on Twitter, X. What is it, X or Twitter or what now?
I'm just calling it Twitter. Sorry.
Okay, it's Twitter. Joe Soro LFB. You can contact me there. You can message me. You can post something on my Twitter. I try to stay away from Twitter on a daily because it is a cesspool pool of puke and shit. Every time I click on there, there's always some disgusting thing on there. So I try to stay away from it. Unless you guys message me, I'll answer right away. It's just a phone click away. If you want to reach me on Instagram, Sinblades_turf, you can direct message me or post something real funny on there, like, Joe, you suck, eat it. My friends will get a kick out of it. If you want to reach me on Facebook, look for Johnny Blade with the Punisher logo. Very easy to find.
Joe, I just have to take you to our YouTube comments. You got plenty of that. Joe's
Good.
either the man or he sucks. There's no
Well, again, hot and cold is what I am. Hot and cold is what I do. Nothing in the middle. And with that, thank you all for being here for the second half of the Lakers Nightcap with my good wine.
I finished my chocolate milk earlier.
Until next time, I'll see you next time.